Hello, everybody. Welcome to Irongeek Cast 110 Contrived Controversy. How's everybody doing?
Woo! I am doing great. Happy, wonderful Wednesday from the BSD Bandit. Yeah!
I'm somewhat alive.
Yeah, you said something about having a high temperature.
No, that wasn't me. That was Ricky.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Ricky, yeah.
I mixed up the avatar. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm the other skull.
And
Well, two skulls make an awesome brain.
Okay, so one of you needs to take a skull. One of you needs to take the pelvic bone.
Hey, I had the skull first, and mine is actually a custom logo for me. So.
I was about to say, one take the skull, one take the buttocks.
Technically, the pelvic bone would also be the buttocks.
Oh my god! I'm super silly today.
And you know, Cappy, you could like make yours purple, then you could be Skeletor.
Oh, that's hot.
Oh,
Well,
Wouldn't
technically,
it be
Skeletor's
yellow,
skull
though?
was like yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't it be? It would be
I
yellow.
thought it was like a purplish blue thing.
Well, that's what
Was
his
it
outfit
yellow?
was, but the skull itself
Oh.
was like yellowish.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
Yeah,
you have
his
to make
hood-
the hat purple and then the skull yellowish.
Yeah, that's
yeah, and
true.
his body was like this teal blue. And here's the
Yeah.
funny thing for everyone listening and watching this. I didn't grow up during that time, and I know this.
Well, yeah, that's 15 years after your time, or
Yeah,
before
pretty
your
much.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did
pretty
grow up
much.
during that time, man. I was probably in my teens, well,
Man.
pre-teens when He-Man was out. Because I was out during like '85 or so. So I would have been like,
Yeah, I was 5 years old. So
I was 5.
I was -11.
man. And speaking of awesomeness, I got my Nova Hackers LED water bottle.
Hell yeah.
Did you make that yourself? Was that
No,
part of a maker
no.
build?
Somebody made it, and it switches different colors. Yes, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Nova
I rock
Hackers.
it a lot.
Yeah, I was super excited about it. I said, oh man, Nova Hackers, we rocking.
That's right.
Yeah, and they keep me sane. Coming to like Nova Hackers and hanging out with you guys and going to different conferences keeps me sane. And putting videos up in the morning.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, you with your morning wake up call. Hey, do you have a name for it? You should name it like morning wake up call, or Charles in charge.
Well, I might get Scott Bale might attack me, so I might just say "Morning Vibes" by BSD Bandit. I don't know, but no. Somebody asked me. They said, "BSD Bandit, is this you before coffee?" And I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Yeah." They was like, "Damn."
Yeah, that's before coffee, everyone.
Mhm.
I love you,
See that.
Charles, but if I worked with you in the same office, I might find you hard to take on a Monday morning.
Yeah, some people have told me that. Like, I don't know, Charles.
Charles is like that morning medicine that you had to take when you were like 5 years old. That you were when you got really sick, and it tastes. Charles is like that morning medicine. You need it for like the rest of your day.
Somebody echoing.
That you were when you got really sick, and it tastes
Somebody's echoing.
like that morning medicine.
Adrian,
So I got
you're
you
echoing.
back. That's my fault. Sorry.
Oh,
There
okay.
you go.
So go ahead.
Mute YouTube.
So I'm the morning medicine.
Yeah, you're the morning medicine that we all had to take when we were kids.
Mhm.
We knew it sucked early in the morning, but we knew it made our day better anyway.
And now that Caprico's got a little bit older, what he actually meant to say is, Charles, you're Cappy's little blue pill.
Goodness. I thought I was the new Folgers.
You get him up every day.
Oh my
Blue
god!
pill could technically be Adderall, because I'm pretty sure my Adderall was blue.
Mm.
And once I have insurance, I may try to go back on Adderall, because I hate taking randomized drug tests to make sure you're taking it. That's the fucked up thing. Normally, drug tests are for making sure you're not taking something.
Mm-hmm.
But Adderall, at least where I'm at, they make you take the drug test to be sure that you're not selling it.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say.
Why don't they do that with opiates?
I don't know. Maybe they do.
I mean, like that right there would take care of it.
Because they
would think, right?
The forms I had to sign a few years back were talking about opiates as well. Even though I wasn't on opiates, it mentioned it, but I was on Adderall, and they made me sign similar forms. So I think they do trust, at least in Indiana, to make sure that you're taking whatever you're prescribed and not selling it.
Huh. I mean,
because like they have such loose protocols, they don't seal up they don't seal up the sink. They don't make sure they put dye in the water in the toilet bowl. You can forget about it and then come back later and then take the test. So you could have took it, waited a few hours, come back in, and I would assume at that point, I don't know how long it takes to process.
Yeah.
But so the protocols are so loose, what's the point in even testing?
Yeah, that is a good point.
Well, yeah.
I mean, plus, how much of a dilution level do they accept? Like, if you took 2 or 3 of them, drank a shit ton of water, and then, had enough to make it through 3 or 4 urine tests.
I have bad stories about piss tests, man. I have bad stories. Because I can't piss on Q, man. I mean, Q was a cool guy. I mean, I love James Bond, so I'm all about Q. I hate you, man. Q. What I would do is I'd go out to Kroger's or whatever was nearby, drink a bunch of diet tea, so I'd have water in my system, and hopefully work through my bowels and work through my in my bladder, so I could pee. But then I have so much diet sweetener in me that I had to shit. So I have a really hard time pissing in the damn vial and not shitting myself. I hate piss tests with a passion.
Well, we know one person who's not afraid to pee, and that's R. Kelly. Woo!
That's right.
Whoa.
Yeah,
come on.
I sent you some R. Kelly thing about. I heard the temperature. Temperature is in the teens. I plan on being out in it or something like that.
Yeah, or the pee hive.
Oh. Now here, I can buy some of that stuff on. It's more recent. I think they have more proof. A lot of shit Michael Jackson is getting. Have you seen the Rageaholic series of documentaries on the court against Michael Jackson?
Yeah, what they're gonna do? Arrest the corpse? I mean,
they can't do that. But also, some of the if you look up Rageaholic on and Michael Jackson on YouTube, he makes a good case for a lot of stuff against Michael Jackson was probably bullshit.
Oh, interesting.
Also, I want to know. All right. Well, neither has a son of that quite age, but let's say some random pop star wanted to take your son to his mansion and hang out and have a sleepover.
No.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the parents are part of the fault for this because that's some weird behavior on the parents' fault. Yeah, no, that's some weird behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And plus, if something happened, and say if I had a son and something happened, you would never hear Michael Jackson again.
Well,
that'd be it for him. He wouldn't be singing. It wouldn't be no more tour. Nothing. It'll be doing what I'm doing right now, sipping through a straw.
I'm talking to the man in the graveyard.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But yeah. Between that and Lori, Aunt Becky.
Okay, yeah, this is a lot of good memes. You've been posting a lot of good memes of that.
Oh man, when I saw this, I said, "Not Aunt Becky," and then I just went in on the whole Full House era. I was like, "How rude!" And Mr. Woodchuck be on the witness stand. Yeah, I went in on that one. She had it coming, man. You can't. Here's the thing, and as you all know, and this is with any industry, it's not even just college. You cannot scheme your way through life. It don't work. You have to put in the work. You have to, because let's put it this way: if they don't get punished for this, it just gives kids, the younger generation, an incentive like, well, I don't have to work hard. I just need to have money.
What else gives rich and famous people a pass?
Right. Well, but it sends the message of not putting in the work and not taking anything seriously. Look, look at the scandal that we just had with the off. I'm sorry, I love y'all offensive security, but I got to bring it out. When look at all that was going on with that scandal where people were cheating on that exam, and they put a proctor in place, and the people people lost their minds because of proctors, and it makes me think that the people that lost their minds were probably attempting to cheat, because if you know your stuff, you don't care if a proctor's there or not.
Well, some people also just don't like someone watching them on webcam. It seems weird. Like, I like to do most of my computer. Like right now, I'm buck naked doing this cast.
Listen,
I don't really want anybody watching me on my webcam.
I mean, you could be making
they're watching you on a camera, but here's the thing: they're watching you on the camera. It's no different than when people have their laptops up or their smart TVs or even their phones. They run the risk of being watched on camera. It's no different than when they go out into the public street. They're being watched on some type of camera.
I think too many people worry about that, because I see a lot of people, and someone actually, I can't remember who the guy was on Twitter. I retweeted him, commented about so many of us are afraid of people seeing us on webcam, but no one actually wants to see us on webcam, because the chance of finding an actual attractive person on webcam is pretty low. You're probably more likely to find me buck naked in front of my computer.
Hey, you know what?
No one want to see that.
But here's the thing: I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with the proctor, because it's just like, hey, you gonna sit up with me all those hours? Hey, we ride together. But you gotta.
It's what has to be done. It's what has to be done.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I don't, because look, we don't want to be. You don't want to have a certification that you worked your butt off. I lost 18 hours of my soul for that exam. Okay? And I would feel some kind of way if some person just had all the answers to the box, or they had somebody taking it for them. And the next thing you know, when I go to use my credentials to look for a job or whatever else, but it becomes devalued because we had so many other people out there just bringing the certification down.
If anybody out there at OSCP ever proctors me, that white guy you see running around cons doing video, that's not actually me. I'm actually an Indian dude. Just to let you know. Let's be clear. Are we good?
Or just put a big poop emoji over your camera. Just put a poop emoji.
What on my camera?
A poop emoji.
Oh, shit.
There was a guy I used to play video games with. He set up his webcam to go to a digital webcam. And he just had meat spin running on it constantly.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Yes.
So if anyone were to look at his web,
baby, right around.
Yeah. So if you got onto his machine and tried to look at his webcam, you got meat spun.
Ooh, or you really want to? If you really want to depress the proctor, just put on a rerun of MASH.
Oh.
You know what the name of that song is, right?
Suicide.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yes, Suicide is painless.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you put that on reruns, and it'll drive the proctor crazy.
I mean,
listening to the opening of that song is depressing.
Well, even with it being proctored, though, I mean, there's still going to be guys who work around that. Well, if you still have the two people in the same room, you got the guy taking a webcam on him, mirrored monitors, dual keyboard, dual mice. I mean, and the other guy off the monitor on the other side of the laptop.
The way they were normally faking it was they were hiring someone off in India or someplace else who had already passed the test to take it.
They put it on Reddit. They put it on Reddit.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you can still do two people in the same room and be able to.
I'm pretty sure you can, but who would want to go? Why go through all that trouble? Just put it to work and just do the test.
And India, for anybody who doesn't know, is where it primarily originated. All of this, with OSCP,
we're not
offensive security stuff.
So,
yeah, but in India, this would be a good business, though, too.
Yeah,
cost of living and what's considered good money. Yeah.
So I mean, I have a question. What was the main thing with this college thing? Because I saw all the memes. I had no idea, and all I saw was that it was a college scandal. I don't know exactly what was going on. So
when someone was bribing the SAT score company to give higher SAT scores to people, they have a better chance of getting college. Is that what it is? Because they were bribing the colleges directly, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
okay.
some of the colleges included like Berkeley. I didn't hear of MIT, but University of Southern California.
So basically, like Ivy League.
Yeah, or Ivy League type of places, and then there were
the people that were bribing was the SAT score company, but not the college directly.
Yeah,
correct.
So,
well,
okay,
yes
that
and
makes
no.
sense.
Right, okay.
On the college directly, there were bribes given to coaches at the colleges, and so that the athletics would look higher, as well as than the SATs. And some, they were given double the amount of time to take the SATs, and some people reviewed their SATs and went back and corrected incorrect
this
answers.
Is a collusion of multiple people, or these individual, like the two? I saw 2 actresses listed.
There were, multiple actors, actresses.
But were they working together somehow?
Yes, there was one centralized person who was heading the entire thing up. And and they said that he made well over, I think it was 50 or 60 million through, and apparently he's been doing it for like a decade or something.
Well, okay, that makes kind of sense to me because there is a definite way that you can even just as a test taker, there's ways to just take the test that kind of seem like you're cheating a bit.
Yeah.
But that makes total sense.
But it's no sense in it. Here's the thing: there's no sense in cheating. Technically, it's already open book. It's called Google, and
not on the SAT. not on the SAT. Not on the SAT or the ACT. But even like here's something to consider too with that. I scored, and I'm not super proud of these scores. I scored a 20 and a 24 respectively on the ACT and the equivalent of a 20 on the ACT on the SAT or SAT.
Yeah, SAT is like 800, so their scoring isn't exactly.
I scored about a 3,000 or something out of like an 8,000 or whatever. It's a weird scoring system. But that one you can definitely kind of cheat on a little bit.
I never actually took an SAT.
My SAT.
You only need to take one.
Which is weird because of
SAT.
But you grew up in Kentucky though, right?
Yeah. I grew up in Indiana, but I was born in Kentucky.
Oh, well, that is weird because like in Indiana, ACT was optional for me, but SAT was required.
Yeah, you need one to get in. Most of the colleges now will accept either.
Now on the SAT, I scored 1120, and I said, "That's it, I'm done." Like I didn't take it no more after that. Mm-hmm. Now my sister, she scored a 1450 on it. I was like, "Sheesh."
Yeah, I didn't. Like the highest you could get in math is 800. I had like a 790, and the other was English, which the highest then was 800. Let's say with my 790 and then adding my English score, I didn't get over 1,000.
But you know something? I just have one question. Does the SAT help you do your job?
Yeah, no. That's what I was gonna get to. What's funny was at the time I was already going to college when I took these tests.
What? Really?
Yeah. So because I have a very interesting education or have an education background that's very interesting, I was able to go to college at a community college while I was in my junior and senior year of high school. And you take the SAT and the SAT during like your junior and senior year. So I was already in a full-fledged, like doing generals courses, doing specialty courses and stuff like that when I was like 17. And
nice.
It does. Those tests do not prove aptitude. They only prove that you are good at taking tests. They are only useful for colleges to say, okay, this person scored X amount on this test, therefore they'll make us look better if we all have an average of about X or something like that. It's not something that you need to
put all of your time on, and then you shouldn't cheat on it. It's a gauge on where you are for test taking, not for how you are at learning.
Yeah. And see, that's another one of the big, well, I don't know how big it is, but one of the other arguments with all this stuff that happened with the college scandal is that you have these, people who just went to and that's what even some of the sons and daughters of these celebrities have said. Oh, I could care less about actually being in college and going to school. I'm just there for the party atmosphere.
Oh yeah,
I didn't actually spend much time. I got my master's from IU Bloomington.
Yeah.
I didn't spend much time up there because I did mostly remote. But I've heard it's a pretty big party town. A lot of colleges that people go to, dude, for tech stuff, a lot of times just the local community college is just as good because they just care. Some places just care that you have a bachelor's from someplace.
Yeah,
yes,
that's true.
I mean, if you can,
even if you're, and the thing is, even with like our side of it, with the security side, I know guys that don't even have that just have their degree and like a high school diploma. I mean, like look at Street.
Yeah,
who?
It's like Jason Street.
I have a fairly decent degree level, but I don't feel like I know shit.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm a product of Virginia State University. Go Trojans!
Oh, that explains a lot.
And I was a fun guy in school.
A mushroom.
A mushroom. God damn it!
No, I was just a fun guy. I didn't say anything about mushroom. I didn't say anything about mushroom. I was just a happy guy and had fun, a lot of fun. So,
people playing with your mushroom.
The idea of sending like an 18 or possibly 17-year-old off to college alone to live in a dorm someplace. That is a bad. I can figure what I was. I can figure what I am now. I was, actually, I might have been better off at 18 or 17 because I wouldn't have had the money.
Yeah,
I would have died.
You know something? Here's the thing. I think the best thing that I could have done was leave New York and go to school in another state because it helped me grow. It helped me grow as a person and not be.
It can help you mature, or it can help you destroy yourself.
That's true, but
it helps you mature.
Yeah, it helped me mature because, like, before that, I was dependent too much on my parents to do everything. You see what I'm saying? And my parents had always. I wouldn't say
say no.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't call it a bubble. Like, I wouldn't call it a bubble, but they always protected me. But it was just like once I got out of state, then I kind of saw the reality of other people from all walks of life.
Yeah,
and not everybody. Like I told you before. I've had friends, I had friends in college. They say, your parents cook or your parents are still together. Like, yeah, like stuff like that. They cook breakfast. Like, and to me, that was a normal thing. Like, yeah, my mom would wake up and she would cook breakfast on a weekday. It wasn't no difference.
Yeah.
But
too, you got to remember how long ago was college?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, 98.
Yeah. So almost 20 years ago for college.
20, yeah.
And just think how many more people now would be saying the same thing because then, your parents are still together. They cook, now it would be even more people saying that.
Yeah. But it was a lot of people back then saying that. And to me, I was thinking that was like a normal, mom and dad still together. But to me, that was a normal thing. But, meeting other people from all walks of life, where that's not the same picture for everybody. And that was it was an eye-opening experience for me. And it helped me grow as a person. Just say, hey, everybody didn't have the same upbringing as you. Everybody doesn't view the world the same as you.
Yeah.
And you got to learn to work with people. You got to learn to really mesh and blend with people in order to make it. So that's the message I got out of leaving home. But if I had never left home, I'd be who knows where I would be. Yeah. So,
I
know.
You'd be the caretaker at a funeral.
I don't know. No, I'd probably be some weirded out NYC kid, and y'all probably see me at Hope all the time.
Talking politics.
Be at Hope all the time with probably long hair, long beard.
I want to see the long hair. That's what I really want to see.
Why are you describing me?
No, I in high school I had a lot of hair. Like I had it growed out in almost a little afro.
In all the right or wrong places?
The right places.
Oh,
but
okay.
Here's the thing, and just I'll tell you the story. I don't care. We're on the internet. I don't care. We're live. So it was many years ago. So I had a lot of hair, right? I had a good amount of hair. I was trying to grow it out in an afro.
Out in the fro. Nice.
And one of my friends, I know this sounds stupid. I saw like the Snoop Dogg, how he had his hair permed.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked my friend to perm my hair, and the perm didn't go too well.
Does that look like that Jerry curl shit from like coming?
Not the Jerry curl. It was just straighten your hair.
Yeah.
So my hair was straight, right? my hair was straight as heck, and I remember coming in, and my mom and sister were like, "What did you do to your hair?" And I was like, "You like it?" And my hair was straightened, right? So the next day I went to school, and I was sitting on because we took public transportation. I was sitting on the school bus, and this guy had his hair straightened like mine, but I'm looking at his hair, and he had patches and bald spots. So now I'm getting scared because I'm like, "Oh my God, we got the same hairdo," and I'm getting nervous. And then my friend, I wouldn't take my hat off at school, and then my friend snatches my hat off, and he said, "Oh my God, what did you do to your hair? It looks crazy." So I got home, right? And you know how I think barbershops were closed on Mondays, right?
Okay.
And there was no barbershop open, so I couldn't get it cut. So I was like, well, I'll try to cut it. I had clippers. Yeah, I tried to cut my hair, and the clippers stopped working. Like it didn't work. So I had half a haircut. I had patchy haircut. So my friend,
hey, that's the new style.
My friend, I ran up to my friend's. He lived on the 27th floor, right? So I ran up there. I said, "Tony, can you please?" He couldn't stop laughing. He was screaming, laughing. And I was like, "Tony, like, I just need you to cut my hair." He said, "I got you, but you will never, ever live this down." And every time he cut a little bit of piece of hair off, we just start laughing. It took him forever to finish cutting my hair. And I kept a baldy ever since. That's why I kept a low cut ever since. Yeah. I ain't never grown no hair back no more. Nope. Mm-mm.
So
I've seen a few black ladies who are rocking a haircut where they pull back the hair back into, I don't know if it's quite called a ponytail.
Yeah.
Where they keep pulling it back tighter and tighter and tighter.
Yeah, I'd be thinking it's going to fall out.
Instead of having a receding hairline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jason said he used to have long hair. He grew it out when he stopped being religious, and then cut it when he started being religious again. Okay.
I have really long hair, but it's not nearly as long as it used to be. I don't know my nutrition.
No, I saw you on YouTube, buddy. Wow.
My old hair was much longer and more, heavy metal, but now it's not near that.
Bro, it looked like you had some VO5 on that thing.
Heck yeah. Hey, Jason, just a FYI, I've never seen a picture of Jesus with a nice clean cut head. So
it's okay, man. We still love you.
I think you can go either way, short or long.
Yes, you can.
Okay, I think it's time to get into the breach report.
Yes, we do. We need. We talked about hair and all this other stuff. Let's get into some breach report. Breach report. Breach report.
Breach report. And now breach. And now that it's breach report time, I just want to say I want to see Charles with some extensions.
You know what?
Apt get install Charles Tack extension.
And then the hair just like appears. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, that would be awesome.
You know what? Stop. No.
Yep. Hey, Caprico, while we're talking here and Charles, is bringing his video up, you should bring Snapchat up and, do some fun Charles stuff.
Okay, I just heard something.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, talk about it.
Yeah, first up, So did have kind of one ransomware item tonight. So Columbia Surgical Specialist were hit with ransomware, which they did not disclose until recently. They were hit on January 9th and disclosed it March 7th. So what, last Thursday, I think?
Yes.
And the reason they finally had to disclose it, but they did in fact pay the ransom, which ended up being $14,649.09. They did not say whether or what cryptocurrency it was that they paid in, but I'm assuming it was some type of web-based currency. And apparently they did get the decryption key, and they paid it, I think, an hour or so before there was some surgeries that were coming up, and they needed some of the medical information to be able to perform these life-saving surgeries. So that is why they paid. Because apparently the attackers were able to encrypt very, very, very sensitive data for 400,000 patients.
So let's see if I can find something here. Because I'm wondering what kind of impact that actually has on it. Because 15,000 for surgical doesn't sound like a whole lot.
You mean in regard to paying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like just one surgery is gonna cost $15,000.
Yeah.
You know, like they're probably their profit side.
Yeah, that's what that's what I'm looking for right now, and what people are probably seeing on my page here.
Oh, real quick, Jason, that's funny. He's an Orthodox Jew. Hey, I don't think Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob cut their hair either all that much. And Samson definitely had issues with cutting hair.
Mm-hmm. It's okay, man. We love you.
Yeah, I'll look for that.
Which one of those was renamed Israel?
Yes, Jacob.
Jacob, okay.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, that's yeah, they paid the ransomware. And honestly, for that amount of data, and I don't advise ever paying the ransom, but that does seem like a fairly insignificant amount to pay from a company perspective for that much data. So again, you need to have backups. You need to have treachery backups, you know, off-site. Like, if your primary systems can encrypt your... What are you sending? If your primary system can
That's why I'm trying not to laugh.
Your backup systems, that is not an appropriate backup, you know? So if you treachery off your backup to an offsite some way that your primary and your backup system does not have direct access, so your third backup system pulls, at that point, you know, that's not bad. But yeah, you need to separate that crap out.
Yeah. So,
Adrian, that's horrible.
Yes. Anyway, also,
it was one of the most messed up ones as far as disturbing, as far as bad acting in a weird scenario. I'm like, this is too odd. But anyway.
Also, too, I want to add to the breach report. I'm sorry it wasn't in the show notes earlier, but I wanted to add to the breach report. And for those of you running WordPress 5.1, WordPress 5.1 has a CSRF to remote code execution vulnerability. And it's crazy because
unauthenticated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So last month, right, or a couple of months ago, they had an authenticated remote control vulnerability in WordPress 5.0. Now in 5.1, I guess they fixed that bug, but now it enables an unauthenticated attacker to gain remote code execution or any WordPress installation prior to 5.11, which is crazy. Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah, so you could do some amazing stuff. And this is all in. They found a CSRF in the comment form that leads to the HTML injection.
Nice. You said that is not 511. It's anything prior to 511, or
yeah, it says 5.1. So 5.11 must be the fix.
Okay.
But 5.1, yeah. It's nuts. WordPress can't never get a break. You know that.
Yeah.
So
honestly, WordPress in and of itself usually isn't all that bad. Like.
No,
they sucked for years as a framework, and then up their security, their DevOps, everything, you know. So they got pretty good, and it was primarily the plugins that we've been reporting on forever.
Yeah,
and I was about to say that.
But yeah, that's, you know, to have 2 versions almost in a row that have some major issues, that sucks.
That's rough, and you got to look at it this way too. And like you said, a good point on the plugins situation, because I remember working for and this is years ago, this is for Gannett newspaper down in Norfolk, Virginia. Hi, Norfolk. I was a LAMP administrator, right? So I got to see all the kinds of matter of fact, we did something for the Indie Star too. And there was a lot of WordPress, there was a lot of Joomla, there was a lot of different sites and everything else. And we used to always have to talk to the developers that were developing PHP plugins for WordPress. Like, they didn't want to either upgrade to the latest version of WordPress. WordPress, you have to treat like Windows, ladies and gentlemen. You have to treat like Windows. I mean, even more so now.
I'll be honest. I run WordPress, but yesterday the 5.11 dropped, and I automatically have it install, and I've had my patches automatically install for everything WordPress related ever since I stood the site up, and I've never had any issues with any of the new stuff.
No, but here's the thing. No, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying you gotta look at it like with WordPress. You kind of have to treat it like Windows. Like Windows, you have automatic updates installed and everything else.
Yeah.
Same thing with WordPress. Yeah. You got to keep this thing constantly updated. And what was happening at the company, we'd have developers developing like custom PHP plugins for the
whenever you go off the custom stuff, you're gonna run every thing.
So it'll be an old version. I found WordPress 2.0 was running on a network one time, and I'm screaming at the developers like, "Hey, this is a vulnerability. If we upgrade it, it'll break all of our plugins, and the customer will complain. Let them complain. Tell them downtime."
Yeah. Like, do they want all their information stolen? Like, what do you care about more?
Exactly. And it was a constant battle between our team and the developers. They were like constantly butting heads, and I'm like, you're letting I'm sorry, I gotta laugh. It was this guy on our team named James, right? And we called him Superhero James, right?
There's always a James.
Dude, we used to call him Superhero James, and I'll tell you why. Because we was in a meeting, and I'm gonna reenact it. We was in a meeting one time, right? And we were talking with the developers about the plugins, and he did like this. He stood up. He said, "Not to sound like a douche or anything, but I am CEH certified, and I think these things need to be addressed now." I said, he said, "Not to sound like a douche or anything, but I am CEH certified, and I think these things need to be addressed now." I said, "Okay, Superhero James," and that's what we call him all the time.
Dun 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 dun.
Hey, like, and that's why I got the name Chippy Charles, because he said, "Since I'm Superhero James, you're Chippy Charles." Chippy.
Nice.
So that's why I got the name Chippy Charles.
A previous employer of mine who was in the news for getting breached got breached by an old version of WordPress.
See, look at that.
They got infiltrated that way. So
was it old version of WordPress, or was it one of the plugins? Because I hear it's usually the plugins.
WordPress.
From what I heard, it was WordPress. That's
okay.
what I read about that.
Yeah.
And two, just a FYI, if you do run a WordPress site, install Jetpack. Hopefully anybody listening to us knows this already, but if you do run a WordPress site, install Jetpack, and you can use Jetpack. They have like paid versions, but even their free stuff will automatically go out and automatically update all your plugins as soon as a new version's available.
Now, for your custom, remember, this is the key word, custom. You have to be very careful. Jetpack will automatically update the plugins with no customization.
Yep.
Now, if you have customized code within these plugins,
you need a dev environment and get your developers in the dev environment consistently updating crap, especially if you have clients.
Yes.
You deserve a big slap on the face if you have clients and you're not updating crap.
Exactly. You got to love your clients like you love yourself. Okay.
But I hate myself.
Okay, well, hate them like you love them. Hate them like you love them. Hate whatever like, you're into.
Wait, love them like you hate them? What?
Yeah, that way. Yes. Sorry, let me take another sip of some coffee.
I don't think
all right
need more, but okay. Yeah, that's always going to be an issue just with anything, and it will just keep like, even if it's a custom plugin, like my blog is running on a WordPress
1.0
server. No. And yes, I know I'm screen sharing.
Good.
Turn that off for a second.
Turn it on.
That little blue pill. That's what Charles does.
My headphones almost flew off because I swung my head back, and I'm like, God dang it. What was I saying? I mean, just using their services, I don't have to worry about updating it because they're like, yep, okay, we're updating all of our stuff now. Okay, cool. New patch is out. All right, put that in there. Cool. I don't have to worry about it because I don't have to do it. And it's just a blog there. There's no other information there. But I get it for like other servers or services that people might be using WordPress to do, especially with the e-commerce stuff. The e-commerce stuff often, and think about it. What is the largest market share of websites right now? Easily deployable and
easily updatable.
Not easily updatable, versatile stuff, web frameworks. A lot of them without a lot of downtime or setup time. I mean, you've got two basically. Two or three. You've got WordPress, Shopify, and Wix. Four, and Squarespace. You have these four things. WordPress was the first one. They were the biggest market share. That's why we've heard so much about them, because it takes one person to find something, and then everyone will just launch on that because they want to get a piece of that pie. And so
can the others, like WordPress, you can take into your own, you can have it run on your own server. Yeah. The other ones, can you also do that? Because I know like Wix, don't you have to post that and do that and have their like sub banner and everything? And
the others, no.
Okay.
I'm 95% sure on that. I could be wrong.
I think that statistic's completely made up. I think you're 92%.
Well, I mean, all 99% of statistics are made up on the spot.
I think 107% are made up on the spot.
You can stop. How'd you score well in math?
Because I can.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway,
I can math. I can't talks.
Also too. What? No, go ahead, Cap. What were you about to say?
So yeah, I mean, with the custom. Yeah, like the guys have already said, keeping stuff updated and also any custom things that you guys are working on, definitely keep up to date on that and know when things are going to be deprecated. These guys, like WordPress at this point, I mean, any of these frameworks that you'd be using, they are going to be putting out documentation saying, hey, this is being deprecated. Hey, this is being done. Here's what our plan is. They're going to put that stuff out way in advance. If you're not on top of that, at least the development team leads are not on top of that, or the people that are actually in the trenches as well, you guys got to start looking into that, because that's going to save your ass more than once. It saved mine more than once when I was still a developer, because I was able to code ahead for some of these things, because there were some functionality that was being removed in the frameworks that I was using. Being able to then code ahead and say, like, okay, when we upgrade from this version to this version, this thing is going to be gone. So how do I code in this version so that it's an easier way for us to move to the next version?
Right.
And eventually I was able to do that. And I eventually taught the rest of the team that.
That's right.
But
there you go.
Wait,
sorry.
so are you saying that sometimes you may even like comment your code?
Oh yeah.
I hope so.
It's more for my benefit than anything else.
Pretty much.
I know, because I look back at stuff from like 2-3 years ago. If I hadn't included comments, I'd be like, holy crap. What was this thing doing?
I'll say to myself, I must have been sleepy. But yeah, speaking of sleepy, also too, and I'll add this to the show notes, also to the breach report. I was looking. I saw an exploit today about Apache Tika. Excuse me. Yeah, and yeah, I'm like Tika is some, of course, as you know, some sort of web server. I don't know how many people are actually running it out in the world, or how many people are actually using it, but it seemed important enough. So I was going through the CVE, and it allows command injection through a server running Apache Tika, and this is prior to versions 1.18, right? So just what I'm doing now, and I still want to play around with this CVE, so I'm actually downloading an old version of Tika, like 1.17. And actually going and actually testing out the CVE that was found, because it allows you to it dug into the CVE and how you can exploit it and everything else. And the only reason the reason I'm bringing this up is for anyone out there, especially future web pen testers or web hackers. This is one good way of learning stuff out into the real world and not just CTF style. When you see CVEs or you see exploits, and whether it's on HackerOne, BugCrowd, or somebody else's blog, and you see that they're going into how it can be exploited, the best bet would be to download that particular version of the software that's vulnerable and actually try to go through the steps and learn how the attack works, because you never know where you might see it on a real engagement or even in a CTF, and that could be the difference from you. That could be the difference from you winning or losing a CTF too. You just never know. So go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, so Tika runs on Jetty.
Yeah, Java. Well,
yeah.
I call it Java, yeah, but
yeah. So I'm just looking.
Mm-hmm. But if you go through, I'm gonna post it in the chat as I'm posting in the YouTube chat as well. So if you look in the YouTube chat, this is it right here. So I just posted from Rhino Security. So just in general, it breaks down how it works and how you can whoever was working on this did a test through just basic Notepad to inject the Notepad exe command. and it's funny, when you try to run the Tika server based on the screenshot, it automatically executes the Notepad command, notepad.exe.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool. So I'm definitely, it should be, well, it's finished downloading now. I'm gonna put that into VM and just test it out and see how well it works on Linux, and I'm gonna put it on a Windows box as well too, and try it. And this is how, like you said, you learn how certain attacks work, and you get a better understanding of real world style. Because again, CTFs, and this is just a tip for anybody that's like into pen testing or into hacking in general. CTFs are more so like crossword puzzles. Like you break them out once in a while, you break out the book and you're like, okay, let me see if I can guess this word and everything else. That's a CTF. That's not a reflection of the real world all the time, right? And then in the real world, and what I'm finding out too, because remember, I'm always constantly learning. 90% of this just seem like it's just Windows, unless you're in the web. Depends if you're into network penetration testing, you're finding a lot of this is Windows.
Yep.
And this is where pen testing Active Directory is extremely important. And matter of fact, I think somebody wrote a blog on pen testing Active Directory Part 1, and I think Part 2 was released today. I'll have to get that information, but it might be a NetSec as well too. But these are good articles to check out because it gives you a sense of pen testing Active Directory, and to do yourself a favor too, set up an Active Directory at home. If you got Windows 2012 or 2016, set it up or 2003. Doesn't even matter, because the concepts are the same. The GPOs didn't change. It's just more code that just added on to it and different things you can do as each version of Windows goes by. But if you understand the concept of Active Directory and GPOs, which is group policy orgs, then it's no different. And then you can apply this method to attacking LDAP, because underneath of all this is directory services, is LDAP.
Yep.
It's just a secured version of LDAP with Microsoft.
So sort of secured.
Sort of. But you know what? And I'll put it this way. And this is dates back to my Novell days. Because Novell had it first. It was called just NDS, right? And NDS was Novell Directory Services.
Yep.
And then after that, Active Directory came out, it was kind of a replica of Novell Directory Services. So Novell thought and this is what killed them, I believe. They thought it was a great idea to put directory services called eDirectory, but it was written in Java, which was a very bad idea.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So it was extremely slow and bloated. Sometimes you could connect to the tree, sometimes you couldn't. And God help you, if you had an IPX tree and you were trying to graft it into the eDirectory tree, oh my goodness.
Well,
so go ahead.
Well, even with just Java, and PHP does this as well. They have a very limited amount of memory that they can use to both retrieve and store data.
Right.
So any request that gets processed by that, there's not a whole lot of RAM.
Right.
Yeah. So like I was on an engagement and I found something where, I could potentially DOS this entire server just by doing like a slow Loris-ish type of attack where I just make 5 different sessions calling to grab all user data.
You sure could. And
because they're throwing a 500 error.
Exactly. And also to put out there, Jason said, I wonder why people still use Windows. Jason, I'll tell you why people still use Windows, okay? You still need Windows in this day and age, and I'll tell you why. Because
sometimes.
For directory services, it's awesome in Ult65, okay? There's nothing out there that's actually competing with Active Directory. Yeah, you have Open IDA, I believe, open source version of IDA that runs on Linux, but it's not an Active Directory, and there's a lot of bugs and stuff when you're even trying to authenticate different clients or whatnot.
But we're also seeing smaller companies start to distribute their network more.
Too.
There are companies who run, and starting to move towards that. Some are federating, so Exchange in-house and online. But there's a lot of companies that are moving completely to Office 365.
Right.
So
completely Microsoft, man.
Yeah. And like you have Microsoft Office for Mac and
but it's
not necessarily have everything on their own domain. I mean, you still have your domain, but they keep the networking equipment on that domain, and that's about it. Distribute out the systems.
True, but for these insanely large companies that's like 100 years old,
we're not seeing it with enterprise at all. This is just at best like small to medium size.
Mid-side, but like with the insanely large corporations, they're going to continue to use Active Directory because that's all they know. Yes. And the Active Directory users in that
school.
And you got to realize these people that are in these 100-year-old companies, they're graduates of the Novell Directory Services into Active Directory. So this is all they know. And then on top of that, they just realistically got used to not having an Exchange administrator and server on-prem in the last, 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
Because that was the big fight. And now everybody's like, Office 365 is the best thing since sliced bread. But before that, they were like, how are we going to survive with this? Our emails in the cloud? They were so worried about that. Yeah. But with O365, it's pretty awesome. And they're doing
stable now. I mean, stable, in the beginning, it
was buggy.
I mean, but over the last year to 2 years, I mean, it's been really stable.
And to clarify everything, I am not a Microsoft champion. Look at my screen name. But I am realistic when it comes to security as a whole. You can't be pigeonholed into just one operating system. Every operating system has its job, and depending on the environment is what you would use in order to get the job done faster or make it more efficient. Now, if I was a person that owned a web-based company, like a Facebook or a Twitter, yes, I'm going to use Linux all day. I'm going to use Linux or an open source version of a web server. Cuts on costs. And plus, if I have a bunch of Linux geeks running around, I could do some amazing things.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a newer company that was a tech company, though. Mm-hmm. If you look at any manufacturing company, I mean, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find any manufacturing company who has been around for 15 plus years.
Yeah.
Who, I'm sure was on an AS400 at some time, has had all these legacy types of systems in the past.
Yeah.
And they have an Active Directory environment that their production depends upon.
Yes. Agreed.
And let's also, I also will mention this, especially with SCADA and a lot of those devices. And
SCADA makes me scratch.
When you mentioned the manufacturing side, one of my first physical engagement, I went out to this manufacturing plant, and they wanted me to test if I could get in. I got in, but I found their HVAC control was on a Windows 2. It was like a Dell. It was like one of those old Dell, like the gray, like the matte gray.
Yeah, with probably Windows embedded on it from 50 years ago, whenever the manufacturer put it on there with specific settings.
Gotcha.
Windows XP.
What was it, XP or XP embedded?
It was X. I don't know. It might be embedded.
Because I remember, to
control their HVAC to their data center, which was unlocked and unprotected on a mezzanine. Like it was so funny. There was also a cockroach on the keyboard.
Nice.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
Nice.
No one's been here for a while.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, when I used to work at the wind tunnels, right? This was years ago at
that's where your hair went.
Yeah, it went away in the wind. So I used to work at the wind tunnels, and what was controlling the wind tunnels at the time, which they're not there anymore, mod comps. So they were old school mod comps. I think that thing had the first version of VI. VI version 1.0.
That's quality.
And this quality. But you know what helped me survive? HJKL. Because I understood the old school. It's a reason why. How can I put it? So, just to piggyback on what you guys are saying too, as well, and adding more sauce on it. If you're researching a specific topic, like say networking or web applications, go back through a lot of those old school attacks and
because they're still relevant.
They're still relevant, and it helps you. And seriously, it helps you understand. You want to strive to understand why the attacks were the way they were back then and why they worked so well. Because if you know how things worked back then, it gives you a clear and concise picture on how things are working now and still able and are still relevant in this day and age. And it helps you to be able to look forward into the future as well.
Yeah, because there's still the base for yeah, they're still the base of what everything is built on now.
Yes.
I mean, they I'm sure patched up exploits and this and that, but the fundamental of how it works is still what their primary project or service is probably built upon.
Yeah, HTTP hasn't changed much since
ever
1.0.
1.0.
well, and the reason, who we have all to thank for this, for creating Big Daddy C. I call it Big Daddy C, the programming language, because without Big Daddy C, there is no Windows, there is no Apache, there is no HTTP, there is no none of this stuff. Okay?
Oh, there's still a lot of C out there actively, because guess what works cross-platform?
C.
Dun, 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 dun.
Boom. And guess what? The high-level languages compile on C.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yes. So all you Pythonists, all you Rubyists, all you Go-Goers, C. So, and the reason for Big Daddy C comes from two guys.
Actually, I think C is Dennis Ritchie
and Ken Thompson.
I thought Unix was. That was the guy who wrote the main book, though, right?
Dennis Ritchie is the father of C. Okay.
Okay.
Unix. So here's the thing. Okay. Unix in general was created in 1969. I'm doing a history lesson, y'all. Pay attention.
History lesson with Charles. Everybody grab your s'mores and stoke up the campfire.
And click your glasses.
Yeah, click your glass.
Unix was created in 1969 by Dennis Ritchie and Ken Thompson, right? Now,
right.
They created the operating system.
Sorry.
But before that, it was called Multics, right?
Yeah.
And before the C language, there was the B language. So now in 1971, they rewrote Unix in pure C. That's when C was created. 1971. They rewrote it in C, and it's been added on ever since. And if you look at Set and Awk now is 41 years old. Set and Awk's been around since 1978.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of these commands that everyone's running is, yes, he did write B. Critco. Yes. Hope I'm saying your name right. Sorry. But yeah. Again, these guys are invented, and then of course you had the BSDs in the 80s. And all that came into fruition. And then in early 90s was Linux. Linux wasn't around for, it took 20-something years for Linus to really write something that was just kernel based. And then that didn't come out till like 92. And then it caught on like wildfire. And then you have what you have today. But all of these things stem from C. Without the C programming language, there is no Unix, there is no Linux, there is no Windows, there is no Novell. All of these operating systems are created on the foundation of C. And then when let's take it to video games. Let's take it to your Xbox. Let's take it to your PlayStation. That's where C++ is coming in. Okay? So again, a derivative of C.
Well, in even the PlayStation 4 and the you caught it once where you were
FreeBSD.
Yeah, you booted it up and it caught it with its pants down at Grub.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Into BSD, and I was like,
the escape hatch was open, cheeks out. But yeah, yeah. I mean, all of these things that we love and enjoy are a foundation off of C. So whenever you're, even with Python and even with Java, the virtual machines, even if you want to go with Android, that's all these things that we enjoy is all about C. So next time you look at a product, next time you look at even hardware, software, whatever, think of Big Daddy C. And Big Daddy C is the reason why we have so much offspring.
That's right. Big Daddy C's like Abraham. Okay, so one thing I did want to say real quick. Charles was talking about setting up a AD environment.
Yes.
If you do not own a copy of Windows Server, you can get a 30-day trial and throw it into a VM off of Windows Dev side, or you can go also the legal route, buy a key off of eBay. They're usually $10-15, to go the legal route. So FYI.
Dude, I was sweating for a second. I was worried for a second because I thought I said, well, if you don't own a copy of Windows, look at my DM. I was sweating for a second.
Yeah.
I think also too, if you're running them inside of a virtualized environment, it doesn't ask you for a key because it should detect if they're in a virtual environment at this point.
Or that's only on the enterprise side.
Okay.
So if you, I think it's called Windows Server Enterprise or something. It's what you run and use the same key on everything, and you just true up at the end of the year type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you can still buy individual keys and do that.
I'm just talking about installing ISOs and VMs, but okay, not even buying things.
Yeah, I mean, Windows is Windows. They're a moneymaker, but you can find cheap license out there. And or if you're only going to do a short test, and two with and Windows is perfectly fine with this. They even say this on the dev site. If you are running, say, server, or you're running Windows 10 and testing stuff there, or I think you can still download Windows 7 and you run it in VMware or VirtualBox. You can set make your snapshot, day one after you have your stuff configured. And then at day, like Windows 7, I think you can run for 90 days. Or Windows 10, you can run for 90 days. So you can roll it back at day 88 to your base snapshot and still have another 88 days and then roll back if you want to go down that road too. And Windows even says that.
Question. So Jack says there is a way to expand it to 120 days.
I mean, there may be, but...
maybe. I'm not sure. I haven't done it.
I mean, the easiest way is to pony up the $10 on eBay and get the key.
And he says, beware, those keys are for overseas users.
Yeah, non-DRM.
Thanks, Jack.
Check the DRMs.
Some are.
Yes, yes, Malcolm. Yes, you need to learn machine language. Assembly is sexy.
Yes. Especially if you ever want to crack it. Well, I mean, that doesn't happen much anymore. I don't play video games much anymore, but back in the day, that was why I knew assembly, was because I used to crack video games. I
don't have time anymore.
Yeah.
It's all about the Famicom.
Exactly. And I didn't want to pay however much it cost to play video games whenever I could torrent, the download. And I wasn't going to trust a keygen because 99% of them were malware, even back in like 2000. So, yeah.
Just to answer real quick, just to answer Jason's question. There's people still using KVM and QEMU. It just depends. It's a lot of people that are still using it. Recently, and I'm still working out the kinks of this. I'm learning it. I'm using FreeBSD Beehive, which is the hypervisor that you could use on a FreeBSD host. The only problem that I'm running into is when you're running Windows host, because it doesn't have a video driver. So the only way you can install Windows on FreeBSD Beehive is do an unintended install. So yeah, because it doesn't have for right now. Maybe a FreeBSD 12.1, they'll probably add a console thing. It's great if you want to if you only care about Linux and BSD or anything console based. Beehive is awesome so far, but trying to get Windows to run in it is a little bit of a challenge, especially if you don't understand the unintended installation XML file. So you want to stay away from that if you're pure Windows. So I'm kind of like at a crossroads right now, because right now I'm just using VirtualBox on my FreeBSD host, and that's worked pretty well, and I don't have any complaints about it. Only issue that I have with VirtualBox right now is running CentOS 7, and that's because my CPU is an AMD Ryzen 5, and it's having some issues. CentOS 7 has issues with AMD Ryzen 5 and VirtualBox, so it gets a little buggy. Sometimes even if you do a Yum update, it freezes.
Huh.
And then I have to go in and do a top and kill the process that's running my Linux VM.
Debian was having some of the same issues with just with the just with the straight install.
Man.
With AMD stuff. It's a specific processor line. They fixed it like by creating another processor. That was an easier standard for the other operating systems to understand, but still a pain in the butt.
It is, man. I was frustrated for a while. I said, "Damn, I don't want to go to Intel. I can't, man. I've been an AMD guy since the Duron days.
Since you set your first box on fire.
Yeah, that's true.
Due to heating issues.
Yeah.
Since you overclocked the shit out of it and burned the box.
Dude.
No, I did that with the Palm Pre. The Palm Pre, I went from 500 megahertz to 600 megahertz and damn near burned a hole in my pocket because the battery got so hot. And I had to change it back. So, yeah.
Nice.
War scars.
I have my first machine was a AMD X11 Phenom or X6 Phenom 2 AMD processor and a GTX 460. And any hardware junkie that is listening to this knows exactly what I'm going to say. It heated up the entire house. Those two that combination of the processor and that GPU, the 460 was literally just a heat block.
Yes.
Nice.
And wait, hey, you think that was a heat block? Try a Sun E250. Meow.
Sure. But this was like 2010? No. 2008, 2010, somewhere in there. It was right when Battlefield 3 came out.
Oh, Battlefield's my game. I miss it. I miss it.
Nice.
I thought one of your guys' kids was making noise, and I look out the window, and there's this little kid just screaming his head off. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, Cappy, blame it on the kid outside. Yeah, we get it. It was you. Okay. So far in the breach report, we've covered one item.
We haven't gotten far.
Sorry.
Let's keep this up just a little bit.
Okay, so next up, it's not a good day when the FBI informs you of a breach. And we were speaking of, those 100,000-year-old software companies and whatnot. So Citrix learns about an internal network security breach from the FBI. So anybody who's watching down below on YouTube, got Adrian Crenshaw's and the penguin muscular dude, and right below that is the show notes. You can go there and be able to click on and see any of the stuff we're talking about right now. So I posted a link by Bleeping Computer and also posted Citrix. I think this was the CIO's current official response. But the way they are currently speculating is that a password spray occurred and was able to compromise a weak password to be able to gain access into the network. They're not saying where the password spray occurred or on what web-facing host, but somewhere they were able to get in. And some reports, I don't think it's documented in this one that I posted, but some reports are saying up to 4 to 6 terabytes worth of data was exfiltrated. Yeah.
Bro.
I mean, yeah.
Holy cow. All right. And that's just straight data.
And there's some attributing it to Iran, like the actual government, not like a person.
Not what's their sleeper cell that they kind of have?
Oh shit, there's so many now. I can't keep up with them.
Mandiant, what is it? Seems like every time there's a breach, you immediately blame them. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like either, especially, I mean, it does, like from what they've said at talks that I've been to and from people I've talked to, that does sound like Iran. They're kind of they're
there's the Iranian cyber army.
I thought it was something else. It's like they're not technically government, but the
APT probably 34 is Iran linked. Is it APT that you're thinking of?
APT is advanced. No, maybe it's APT.
Because like 34 is Iran, and I think 33. I'd have to validate it. Let me see if I can find them.
APT is Advanced Persistent Threat.
Yeah, but that's also like the name that they give to some of the hacking groups.
Okay.
Like North Korea's Lazarus Group, but they also have an APT assigned to it, and I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, I don't remember who they are either, but yeah, that sounds about right. But okay, 4.6 terabytes. That seems
4 to 6 terabytes, like somewhere in that range. So
4 to 6 terabytes,
and it's still undergoing investigation. So like some of those leaks that have made the news of 4 to 6 terabytes, that's currently known. So there could still be more come out that say, oh shit, yeah, we found out that they also got another 5, 6 past that.
So my next question, who was running their SOC?
It's an excellent question.
Who didn't see?
Who's trying to make sure they keep their job right now?
Who is okay? How?
I mean, because like from a CIO, CSO perspective, the last thing you want is for the FBI to come to you and say, "Hey, you've been popped."
Yeah, like
that's scary.
Dude, how do you let that much information go unnoticed?
Yeah.
One, like, also, how? Unless you're like. Yeah, even still, like I'm thinking of like weird web API calls that are doing like whatever, but to grab all that data, but that's still a shit ton of data.
Oh, yes.
I mean, massive. Like collections 1 through 5 altogether, and granted, that's why I said it's all just data.
Yeah.
1 through 5, that's about 400 gigabytes worth of material, worth of emails and passwords.
Yes.
But the whole of 4 terabytes, there's got to be at least that much just in that.
Yes. Yeah.
If not more.
Hi.
Say hi.
She's like, who's that crazy white guy?
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. Your daddy wants to play a game.
We'll play.
Oh, my
He's so
happy
cute.
kid. Thank you.
Yes, whatever that was. We totally agree.
This is me in the morning. This is
Charles is over here like, yeah, she's got her mom's laugh.
Wow, she loves doing that. I don't know.
Nice.
All right.
But yeah, it's a rough time for Citrix right now.
No kidding. Because that's going to be client info too, client partner, all that. That's going to be
potentially. I mean, they are a behemoth, you know.
Well, I mean, they're online with like Cisco and Dell for network hardware, right?
Yeah.
And software.
Yeah.
They're in that's a huge share of the market. Any share of the market is a huge share of the market at this point with the amount of data that all software, especially the network level software, takes in.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of customers.
Yes. And like, have any of you ever had to support Citrix?
I've had to break it.
Yeah. Yeah, breaking it, I would imagine. Because I've never, I mean, it's broken. I never did it intentionally.
There's
but
a couple of,
it broke.
Well, I mean, even last, was it Citrix? Yeah, it was last year. One of the vulnerabilities of the week in December, I think, and it was before episode 100. We covered Citrix meeting, or like GoToMeeting, or something.
GoToMeeting. Yeah,
it was the Citrix GoToMeeting Windows desktop application, where you could, I want to say, elevate yourself to system level privileges on the Windows machine itself. I'm not seeing this being related to it at all.
No. Oh, that would be hilarious if it was.
I mean, if it was, if it was, and like, okay, let's say it was. Like, my thought on how this probably happened was someone got phished and then called out back to some.
Right now, they're saying they think it was a password spray, though, which would make me think it was probably a web-facing, an application server, something, where somebody had a weak password and, you know, gained entry via that compromised account.
Because
moved laterally, blah, 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 you know. So, I mean, if it actually was password spraying.
I just took a look at our internal chat. I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, that makes more sense then. But still, how do you get from an application? That application must be sending out a shit ton of data.
Well, I mean, once you get once you get inside the application, then I'm hoping it was within the DMZ. May have not have been in the DMZ.
Well,
and if it was not in the DMZ, then it's very easy to move laterally once you go lower level in it.
Right. And we'll probably figure out more with it as time goes on. But if you have something, my thought would be is if it was a shared server, like that application got popped, then they got into the system.
It'd be awesome if it was a freaking FTP server.
Oh god,
they were able to compromise.
Just admin.
Yeah.
With a company that big, I mean, it would happen. I mean, you deploy a new server, and then some bot is constantly pinging at it, and you forget to change it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you get password sprayed, and then you get a worm that crawls through your entire DA and grabs all your NSMB shares, which is 4 to 6 terabytes, and exfils them out that way.
Yeah, and even if it was in the DMZ, are you making sure on your firewall side to make sure the east-west in the DMZ doesn't touch?
Yeah.
You know?
And
did they enter in through an application server or an FTP server and then pivot from there, east-west, in the DMZ to a more susceptible server that they could then gain entry through? I mean, it's all speculation. I'm very interested to see
someone's got like
an official write-up in the future, but yeah,
someone's got to have like one. They had to have had some sort of AC access list, access control and entry to say like an ACL, well, access control list entry to say like, hey, like we need this server to interact with this internal box real quick, and only this box, but that internal box then also has access to the entire mesh network.
Yeah. And like, is their internal network then fairly flat? Like are all their servers like on the same VLAN and flat within the server range, you know? Or have they segregated out the server side? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I hope they release like information about it, because it is a good learning for other companies to not make the same mistakes.
Right. And my guess is that it probably won't be, because if the FBI is in on it, or is the one telling them,
FBI was on Target and Home Depot and all these others. So.
Right. Well, I mean, but that was also, those ones were super easy because someone found, those ones were like, they weren't like super insane vulnerabilities. They were known vulnerabilities that we had already discovered and had said, hey, don't do this. Like,
yeah, but password spraying's a known vulnerability, even though it's not software side, it's human side.
Exactly, but we didn't understand like how the network was set up after Target. We didn't understand like with Target, Home Depot. Equifax. We don't know a lot of things about that, even, and these are the biggest breaches of the past 5 years.
Yeah,
and or actually ever.
Yeah,
I mean, minus like, well, it's not a breach. Like minus collections 1 through 5, which isn't technically a breach. It's just a compilation of a shit ton of stuff.
It's a compilation of stuff that's been happening over the last 10 years.
Yeah, which is still insane.
Yes. Yes. Okay, let's move on. We've been on our soapbox for a while.
Yeah.
I just threw this one in there because I found it interesting. So Mizan Bank may, and I'm still saying may because it hasn't yet been confirmed, suffered a breach. So they are a Pakistani bank, and over the last couple months, a lot of their credit cards are being used have been essentially stolen and being used in fraudulent transactions. And so reports are starting to come out, and the CyberScoop reports article here is a pretty good one, that they're starting to think that it's not just that the cards have been stolen, but the actual bank may have been breached at this point.
Right. Yeah. Especially with the amount of them that it looks like they're getting out.
Yeah. Because if it's like one, not one or two, but if it's 100, banks every day have fraudulent transactions occur on hundreds to thousands. But if you start stepping into like 10, 15%, oh shit.
It's like,
like we're not counting in numbers, we're counting in percentages now.
Yeah. When you get 100% of the entire U.S. population, your CEO gets to step down.
Exactly. So, Equifax. But yeah, they're guesstimating that the potential breach, that compromised records may have been posted between January 24th and January 30th, associated with the bank. So it's about a 6-day time frame, if I'm reading the article right, that attackers potentially had a foothold within their systems. But I found it interesting.
Yeah, so 6 days worth of exfil. Yeah, you can get a lot of stuff off that.
Yeah, and it all depends on the pipe. Going back to Citrix, I'm just wondering how big that pipe was.
It's got to be gigabit.
And honestly, it could be larger.
Or 10 gig.
What if they had a 10 gig pipe? You could get a lot of data out really fast.
Yeah.
On a 10 gig pipe.
Well, and here was the other thing that I was thinking too. I was thinking of how no one caught that, and I'm also thinking at that point, and that makes sense. If they have a 10 gig pipe already, they have to be using that constantly. And if you're just sending like everything out in like text or in chunks, you're not going to catch that or as easily, because it's just going to get all amalgamated in your log somewhere. So it's going to be a ton of logs.
Yeah. You have to specifically be looking for that type of data, and IDS or an IPS is not going to see that. It's a security device. It's not looking for, or the majority. Some actually do include like PII, and you can include your specific intellectual property, things like that. But the majority don't.
Right.
They're looking for essentially hash and signature based, attack methods and whatnot. So yeah, that's a fun one. You have to see it most of the time prior to the exfil, because hardly ever are you going to see that actual exfiltration.
Yeah.
Unless you have, because there's devices, companies out there who specialize in exfil, but good night. That would suck. That amount of data. I mean, even my old company, one of my old companies, worked off of a oh crap, what was that thing? HP SAN Arc Store. Is that theirs? 3-par.
Idea.
Old school 3-pars, you know. But even the just moving data off of there would have been fairly easy if you were able to compromise the the actual 3-par system. So, oh well. Last up for breach, we have Health Alliance Plan was hit.
Bum, bum.
Yes, with 120,000 affected. They are a part of. I'm trying to figure out exactly how they are. I think they're owned potentially by Blue Cross and Blue Shield, but so they're a vendor of Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
Yeah, that looks familiar.
Yeah, and 120,000. And this is the annoying part. The security problem occurred on or around September 23rd. It's now March.
Oh my God! Yeah, for those looking at the screen right now, it's right there. When Wolverine Solutions Group experienced a ransomware incident, a malicious software that attacked and locked up our servers and workstations. So it just exfiltrated.
Yeah.
Data.
And
has been compromised or exfiltrated or is encrypted.
Yeah. Freaking who knows? They give the most bullshit information on some of these.
Yeah. I do not envy you. At least I'm reading tech blogs. You're reading like this is news for the non-tech person.
No, see that's the thing. Like I found this, because this is Detroit Free Press. I mean, I'm like, okay, well, okay.
Sure.
I found this through a tech blog that gave me nothing, and then I moved to Google, or Bing or whatever,
right.
DuckDuckGo, whatever your preference is. And this is one of the better articles, but still, the information that the companies give sometimes is just junk.
So, with this amount of customers affected, my thought is that this is either a very small one-off site that what's their full Health Alliance plan has, so that site got compromised, either by running one of their web servers on that site, and that was the only site that the attacker had access to after the fact. But still HIPAA, still a pain in the butt, and you just gave them all HIPAA information, oh god, SSN and credit card information.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's pointless, the whole credit monitoring junk that these companies do, but these guys, it doesn't appear, are even doing that. I mean, at a minimum, like they're saying, they're saying, okay, you as a consumer, we screwed up, but now you have to do this. So you need to contact Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, and make sure to,
because they're reputable at this point.
And then get a free copy of your credit report by going to annualcreditreport.com. Monitor all your bills and credit card charges. Frequently, I mean, they're saying stuff for the consumer to do. The person affected who's getting screwed right now, they're like, well, I mean, it happened in September. What are we going to do? Wait, I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll tell you what you should do. We're not going to actually help you in any way.
Oh my gosh. That's just no.
Oh, it's classic.
Yeah. Have fun with that, guys. Have fun with that.
Yes.
Apologies in advance if you're involved in that one. And they're in the Midwestern area. Well, it's in Michigan, so
Michigan.
Yeah, if you're in the Michigan area,
big old MI,
and you're
if you're from Ohio, that's that state up north. We don't
you don't talk
acknowledge.
about that.
Yeah, the Michigan. I mean, they can't win at football. We get that, but still, we don't acknowledge them.
Yeah, I was in Columbus recently and had a rental car that had a
yes, I know
Michigan. Hey, I told you about it before. A Michigan plate on it. I almost got T-boned by like 4 different cars.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, I had a Michigan plate, so I'm like,
yes, and that would have been intentional.
Yeah.
Well, before you get to that, I am really happy to say you had Michigan plates. I think it was this week. The transportation bill passed the Ohio House of Representatives that includes removal of the front license plate for Ohio drivers. So, oh my gosh, come on. If it can make it past the Senate, I can take that thing, wing it, and never have to see it again. Anybody who cares anything about body styling, aerodynamics, if you have a sports car, muscle car, I mean, you hate front license plates and license plate brackets and all that bull. So we are close. None of the surrounding states around Ohio require a front license plate. Like, screw it. Ohio needs to be done with it. And we're so close. Hopefully it passes the Senate. And thankfully it's not its own like individual bill. It's worked in with the transportation budget for this year or upcoming fiscal season.
I mean, if you think about it there too, I mean, that's less cost for the state than
and they're still going to charge the exact same amount for license plates.
Oh yeah, they will.
And that's my I'm like, okay, screw it. Like, you can make more money, and because you're going to charge this, I'm going to pay the same amount. I don't. It's what for the license plates, $20. I don't know, but
for a standard one, yeah.
Yeah. So $20. I pay it for 2 plates. I'm perfectly fine still paying that for 1 plate, and you bank, the extra cost that you're getting back, and put it into the roads. The governor wanted to raise gas taxes just a crazy amount, even though he's a Republican. I want to shoot him in the foot right now for it. But use some of that money and to supplement the gas tax that didn't fully go through. I'm perfectly fine with that. Get rid of that stupid front license plate.
I will say, as someone who also lived in a state for most of my life with the front license plate being required, Minnesota, it's a eyesore, especially on my
Charger.
On the Charger, it's an eyesore. I'm gonna, once I get all my residency moved over to Kansas, that I'm getting a new bumper, and I'm gonna black out the front end of the Charger.
Well, that's like my Jeep. I have tow hooks on the front.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to, my Jeep originally came from Canada, which, they don't require anything except a moose and a Mountie. And so what I ended up doing, because I have a license plate bracket, I just don't want to put it on there. And I don't want to drill into the bumper. I don't want to do all that crap. So I just got a temporary thing because there was a chance, that small chance that we would X out the front license plate. So I made up a thing to put on one of the tow hooks. And so that now holds my front license plate.
It's zip ties, isn't it?
No, I went a little more professional than that. But
well, I mean, even like the guys that I knew that were running sports cars and were tuners and stuff like that, they would just run with a license plate in the on the dash, like under the windshield, like right under where the windshield.
Yeah, but even here in Ohio, because I did that for a while and then stopped because I got a warning. But I had a lot of buddies who got pulled over and ticketed for that, and then the cops started targeting them, and they were consistently getting ticketed for it. Yeah. And even like the Corvettes, the Corvettes actually have a little insert that comes out where you can put your license plate in there. But that completely f's up the aerodynamics of it.
Yeah.
And I hate them. Despise and loathe them.
Speaking of things that we hate, Windows.
Windows.
So I did get a chance to skim over these before.
It's about time.
Yeah. I had to test things overnight, so I was
blah blah. I was working. I make money now.
Yeah,
I'm still a hippie. We know.
I don't know how hippie runs into that, but okay.
The long hair and the long beard.
Whatever. Microsoft patches 2 0-day exploits found. Okay, whatever. Exploited by Fruity Armor and Sandy Cat hacking groups. Both of these are CVE 2019-0808 and CVE 2019-0797. So both of these bugs were known to escalate privileges. So this is a post-exploitation thing. So the ransomware, what I have figured from it, is like every other ransomware. It would somehow get onto the box either via phishing or you downloading that new iPhone ad or some stupid Excel file or whatever. Get onto the system, and then it would execute at the kernel level, which is something I haven't seen a whole lot of in the Windows world because the Windows kernel is a mess, and would successfully exploit there. Now, since there's a patch out for it, you should have had a notification saying, hey, update your system. I got one, and it said, hey, we need your help with this because it actually needs a full shut off. You need to tell it to do a full shut off and actually click to update it. So even if you have automatic updates, it will still ask you to do that, at least on Windows 10.
Interesting.
Yeah, because you're going into the kernel level, and this is just what I figured out like 2 seconds ago. When you're going into the kernel level, it needs to do a full shut off. Because with Windows right now, it does like a soft shutdown.
Yeah, that's how Mac does it too. It annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah. It's so that you can boot it up faster and that stuff still is there. It's a user UX thing.
Yeah.
Makes people happier when they turn on their computers when things go fast or faster. And then I'm like, just run Linux with an NVMe, and then you're running at like Mach 1. Or Mach 3. What's higher? Whatever. Mach, yeah. It's like you got into the Speed Racer Mach 5, and then you're just doing all that stuff.
Go Speed Racer.
Go. Yeah, that almost went Power Rangers there. Yeah, so that's how it would get there, and why you need to actually tell it to update is because it's doing a full shutdown, which means it's killing all processes, including that intermittent, like persistent, I'm still on, but I look like I'm off kind of process, which also takes a bunch more things underneath it to shut down. But what could this do if you don't patch it and you're just like, screw it, I'm not going to update Windows, my stuff is fine? Well, attacker can pretty much do everything they want: install programs, view, change, and delete data, and even create new accounts with full user rights, meaning it can create an admin account.
That's right. And just a reminder too, this was Patch Tuesday, but
which was last week.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because it's the first Tuesday of every month, right?
Oh shit. It's been so long since I had to patch something. I think it was yesterday.
I'm pretty sure it was last week, because that's when I had that one patch come up and I was like, huh. But regardless, patch is out, update.
Yeah, but what I was going to say though, we got Patch Tuesday, but these are being actively exploited in the wild.
Right. Thus, why we have the two groups. Remember like 2 years ago when like everything was ransomware and like Microsoft kernel stuff, or not Microsoft kernel. Microsoft like DA and like just everything. Just that's
not so much on the DA side, but on the yeah. Oh shit! What?
Well, the shadow brokers and everything.
No, the hardware side. What was Meltdown and Spectrum?
Well, like, Meltdown and Spectre
those are
were
still popping. They were last year.
Yeah.
I'm still seeing them referenced, occasionally now.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
There are still patches coming out for Meltdown and Spectre.
Right.
Like,
because
they're just not being heavily advertised because it was such a eyesore.
Yeah. And the other thing I think that they're trying to do now, because remember when Spectre and Meltdown first got patched, you saw it was like 15 to 30%, or it was a 5 to 30% decrease in software and processing output.
Yeah, and they crashed a shit ton of systems.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was a big patch because everyone was freaking out about it. Now what they're trying to do is optimize those patches to the point that you aren't losing out on any of that processing power at the same time. So there's stuff that they're doing on the operating system to do this. They're not going to get all of it back because they can't turn on speculative branching again, which is, go read the white paper from Spectre and Meltdown on that if you want to know what speculative branching is.
And if you really get it down pat, Microsoft will probably hire you because they still don't fully know what it is. So
I don't think a lot of people know.
Just saying.
But what's funny about that is I found a paper back from 1996, so the year I was born, where someone did research on this and wrote the theoretical of why this is a bad thing, and this was right when speculative branching became a thing. And literally, it was the exact same thing that we saw now, where Spectre and where you would have speculative allocation attacks, where you would just allocate a ton of stuff. And the paper literally says the exact way that you would exploit it. And this is from 96. This is like over 20 years ago.
Yeah. And I did want to roll back for a second. Patch Tuesday is the second Tuesday of every month, so.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, which is what I thought it was.
Okay.
Old guy.
Weird.
Did cis crap in the past, and old.
All right, let's take a look at this. Positive Technologies discovers 12 vulnerabilities in Moxa industrial switches. I got the chance to look at the rest of these. I did not get the chance to look at this one. Wait, no, I think I covered this or a similar thing last week.
Did you?
Yeah, because we were talking. Everything was more. Oh wait, no, that was Cisco.
Cisco was last year, last week. Yeah,
last year.
Cisco's so last year.
I mean, at this point. Okay, so in the Moxa series, model numbers, EDS 400 series, Positive Technology experts that were researching this discovered 5 vulnerabilities, 3 which are highly dangerous. For instance, an attacker could recover the password from a cookie intercepted over the network by using cross-site scripting. They could also extract sensitive information or brute force credentials using the proprietary configuration protocol to obtain control over the switch and possibly the entire industrial network. Holy cow. You literally are attacking these things, and you do the most simple of attacks, which is like web hacking 101, which is cookie manipulation, or like web token manipulation, figuring out how the cookies work, and cross-site scripting, and brute forcing for that matter. If you can successfully brute force something, you're not doing your job right.
Yeah. And to a reminder to anybody listening, X out freaking GUIs on your networking and firewall gear. Just be done with it. if you're uncomfortable with command line, get comfortable with command line. Take a class, take a crash course. I don't care what it is. The GUI, the GUI just introduces so many more vulnerabilities in all platforms.
Well, and here's the other thing too. When you're on the command line, you need to know, and you will know exactly what you're running.
Yeah.
In the GUIs, you don't exactly know what you're running. So
you're running whatever is pre-programmed into the GUI.
Right, exactly.
And you hope and pray that it's right.
Yeah.
Now with the command line, if you get it wrong, you're going to know you got it wrong because it's either not going to accept it or your stuff starts doing some funky stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to break and then you have to revert. Always do backups too. Yes. But for instance, we did
SFTPs.
Yeah. I had to run a team of about 30 people, and some of us were using
on Donner, on Dancer, on Blitzen.
Yeah, we all were using Git, but some of us were using the GUI version of Git.
Okay.
And those GUI versions, I had a chance to look at some of the commands they were running, and I immediately found out why all of our stuff was having conflicts.
Yeah.
Because they were completely overriding any changes at the origin branch. It would just say, nope, like it. Oh. So think of like, instead of doing like an append or like where you would like, or
add to the end
and an edit or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so say like you wrote a sentence like, Mary had a little lamb, and then you changed Mary is a little, your sentence to say Mary is a little lamb. Instead of it actually editing, like changing that one word, it was appending the entire file to that. So when people would try and do that, it would say, oh, you have a merge conflict because you haven't like pulled this down. And then when it would pull it down, it'd say, you can't do that because this is a different version. It was the worst freaking thing ever. And it was all because of
Mary.
Get GUI, not Mary. It was all because of Get GUI from GitHub actually wrote that, I think.
Interesting.
It was bad. And then they have a better one that's called Get Kraken. I highly recommend using that one instead, because then they're actually using safe stuff, because it wasn't just thrown together in a weekend. But same thing, like with the, I mean, there's got to be a way to disable these GUI things on these, and especially on industrial.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, like I haven't worked with what was this one called, Moxa? I honestly haven't worked with those, but yeah, Cisco, you can X out the GUI interface completely.
Yeah.
And I highly advise you do it. And Jason, I agree. Yeah, most GUIs are just shells that execute CLIs. But even on the Cisco side, they are incredibly limited the vast majority of the time. And I don't like GUIs. I'm perfectly fine with GUI on certain situations, but when it comes to routers and switches, no.
And this is coming from a guy from a whole, like, I built GUIs for webs. Basically, when you're building a website, you're building a GUI.
Malcolm, what did you stuff the cookies with? What was it, meat? I mean, because I'm a meatitarian, so if you threw some meat in there, I may actually eat some cookies. I'm not a big sugar person.
So you're on the keto diet then?
I like meat. I mean, I eat vegetables. I've just never been for my birthday, I never really wanted pies or cakes or I'm not a sugar person.
Yeah. All right. That was weird.
Even though that's not the cookies he was talking about. I just had to take it there.
Yeah, I know. But no, with cookies you can, especially if they're just JSON web tokens, which technically is a cookie.
Yeah.
Any sort of yeah, there's a definition for it that I'm forgetting. But you can just decode it because it's just base64 encoded, and it's a JSON string, and then you can manipulate that JSON string to then do things that you want. So you can stuff different parameters or different like Unicode or whatever thing.
I mean, it's a JSON string. You said you could do. This exploit was cross-site scripting. So
yeah.
I mean,
so
you're essentially
just scripts in there.
Yeah, throw your own freaking JSONs in there or JSONs in there and be done with it.
Well, not so much another JSON string. You would have to throw in if you wanted to do it. If you could get a response back, that would be funny. If you could, if you could do if you could manipulate a JSON web token to then run your own provided script that then gets added to the page, that is hilarious. And I think I know how you can do that. You would have to have that tagged be rendered on the page itself. So you would have to enter either in a post request or something.
I used to do that back in the day with SQL injection constantly.
Right, with SQL injection, it's kind of that same thing, but
yeah, constantly, and just be able to have something show up on a website,
Yeah,
I did it in a controlled environment, you know, with people who were expecting stuff to happen, not in a bad way. Just throwing that out there.
I mean, just Google Dark 1 or 1 = 1. But where was I at? But with with that, thanks. With what I was saying, you're gonna get client side cross-site scripting. This sounds like it was more. It was a little different. So that token might be getting processed somehow on the back end.
Yeah.
And then running stuff where it shouldn't be. Like you embedded JavaScript code, not a script tag that then gets rendered on the actual HTML page itself. All right. Next, hackers exploit critical flaws in car alarm apps. What drivers need to know. So apparently, it's important to note that these alarm systems are high end. They're about 4,000 pounds each, and this is over in the UK.
That is heavy.
Which is about $5,000. Yeah, it's about 2 tons.
Exactly.
When you have a ton of cash, are you European? Are you from the UK?
Yes.
So these researchers grabbed a bunch of these high-end smart car alarm systems, and the team or the company that created them did the worst thing that I can ever think of. And usually this ends badly for any company when they say this. All right. The founder of Pentest Partners explains that an advert by one of the vendors concerned and stating the system was unhackable and had peaked interest initially. This is when he's looking at it. They said it was unhackable. That's never a great claim. Like I said, nothing is ever 100% secure. There's always going to be some weird flaw, some patch that puts some weird thing out. We were just talking about WordPress earlier with 5.1. You put a patch out with a new feature, that feature's a vulnerability now. You're just doing it day one. Anyway, what these guys were able to do, they were able to make a simple modify user request in the code that was not being correctly checked or validated. So they were doing some input parameter injection, header injection, whatever. Once access, they were able to change the user's password and take control of the account. So they could then say, I don't want to be, and they don't have full specifics here, but what I'm thinking that what it might be is they were able to say, okay, what's this user's ID? What's their app ID? What's their account ID? All right, I'm going to do this one call to this endpoint that says, hey, modify this user and here's my new password. That's about as simple as I can make it out to be. Just to recap, and this is probably a better way to say it, by fiddling with a few parameters in the app code, the researchers could update the registered email account without authentication and send a password reset request. So literally what I just said. New address. Oh my God, get out of here.
Get it together, Cappy.
Did I mention that you didn't even have to actually own one of the systems to get an account, making the exploitation of these flaws even more trivial to exploit? So literally, you could be sitting here on a different like phone or whatever, and or any like sort of near one of these things, and they're probably IoT. If it's $4,000 or five grand USD,
it is.
It's gonna be IoT. At this point. So someone's going to be looking at that and someone's going to write a bot to just say like mine and then turn them all on at once.
Yes.
And all of London is going to be because no one, whatever. So that's that in a nutshell. Read the rest of the article if you want to know what could they do as a result. They kind of laid it out right there. They could take it over. You can do whatever you wanted at that point. You can get data. You can interface with the car through the app itself. You can log into the app itself. You could track people that way too. I'm sure there's a GPS portion of this application as well to say, hey, I'm over here in Brisbane or something like that, and I want to see where like XYZ person is. Oh, they're in London. Let's go follow them. Let's have a night of it. I don't know. Some people would do that. And it got really quiet. Adrian, you still there?
I'm alive, yes.
You've been quiet.
I just don't have anything to say, man.
Oh, okay.
My brain is in other places with other issues. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. We got one. Anything you want to add before I move on to the last vulnerability of the week?
Oh, have at it, sweetie.
All right. Samsung, this one's going to be a fun one. Samsung Galaxy S10 facial recognition fooled by a video of the phone owner. I'm just going to take a second to say that is hilarious.
I mean, back in the day, I know back at like 5 years ago, they used to have an unlock feature on Android that could use your face and you could fool it with just a picture.
Yeah. So this doesn't really surprise me, though, because the way that facial recognition works is it basically builds it basically just builds a digital map of the different contours in your face when the picture is taken. So different pixels will be given a certain value on that mask, and then that mask is then translated into a saved picture. So if you can basically it's a picture of a picture, and it uses certain data points that are set on your face when you set this up to then say, hey, I have data. The person that can unlock my phone has data points 117, 34, 90, and 11 or something like that. Because it's a photo and it's actually with the photo thing, that would make sense because then you would just have it with this. With this, it might be checking for different permutations of it. So maybe it takes multiple and also says, okay, maybe at this permutation and this permutation, values X to Z, A to B, C to D, and E to F are like this, are at these values, which is probably what's happening when you showed a video at the same time. And it will say, hey, this looks about right because those same values are within that same range. That's how I think it could be happening. I don't know the specifics on it, and I don't think the device or the article here goes into that great of detail with it. But still, funny enough to say, hey, it's the same way that the 3D printed stuff was coming out too. If you can get something close within that certain range where it will do where it will get a positive out of it, we're good.
Yeah, I'm still hoping that my fingerprint scanner is a little bit more detailed than that, but I don't honestly know.
Well, and even it's the same kind of idea with fingerprints too. You're looking for certain data point. You're looking for certain calculated data points that are stored within the phone. So the data point is going to look for like on like a grid in terms of like a picture to say like, okay, like data points X, Y, and Z show up. Therefore, this person cannot unlock this phone. With the facial recognition, it's the same thing, except there's going to be more data points, more of a range, and that's why we're seeing a lot of this stuff come up since it's been released, especially on like iPhone had this issue, and now Android's having this issue, and this is on the S10. This is a newly launched product, so a lot of people are going to probably be deterred by this, but.
I mean, I don't think they will be all that much.
I mean, a phone's a phone.
Every time a new phone comes out,
someone's gonna get it.
Yeah, you remember? I think it was DEF CON last year. One of the talks, a brand new phone came out like a week before or something, and one of the DEF CON talks was, okay, how to bypass facial recognition. I mean, it's as soon as it happens, as they release, somebody's bypassing it.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's like with any of these like super new technologies, they're super sketchy and super rushed.
Yeah,
in implementation. So there's gonna be weird things that you can test for.
Oh yeah, I mean, because back in the day. Oh, you hear that?
Yeah,
yeah, that's quite a ways away and multiple walls in between. That's how loud he currently is. But back in the day, just a printed fingerprint would work. And it's obviously, most aren't that bad now, but yeah, it's changed.
Like if it's a really crude thing, I mean, it's all about the implementation and also the hardware you have there. The hardware we have now is insane to the point to where we were like even just 5 years ago.
Yeah, the hardware in a phone is comparable to like a computer 5 years ago.
Right, exactly. Like Charles, even though he dropped off, was saying how he upgraded his processor from 500 megahertz to 600 megahertz. Our phones, like right now, like my old like iPhone 6 is running at about double that right now.
Yeah, mine's a quad core and over double that.
Yeah. So, and I have an Android S9 right now, or is it an S10? I have no idea.
The S10 just came out.
Yeah, no, I've got the S9.
Yeah.
And I just got that. So I usually get the phones right before they put the newest flagship model out, which is kind of
when they're trying to get rid of them.
Yeah, because they're kind of cheaper then. A little cheaper, not too cheap. Not like your flip phone.
Hey, I love my flip phone. Come on.
Hey, I actually miss flip phones, to be
I don't.
honest. Was that a yawn?
Nothing.
Sorry, I just hear a.
It sounded like a baby dragon going to sleep.
You see that cute meme? It was like,
Is it anything else that you've been putting in chat? Because we can't talk about.
We are still live. Yeah.
There's a cute meme where it has like that Duck guy from the old Dragon Slayer video game that says "I Killed a Dragon," and then there's this guy from the "I Trained a Dragon" cartoon series, and then it says, I'm the mother of dragons with the lady.
Oh yeah.
And it has the donkey there smiling.
Yeah, it's Donkey from Shrek, and then it's just like.
Oh, yeah. I did see that one. Yeah,
that one. That's hilarious. I kill dragons. I train dragons. I mothered dragons, and then you have shit. What's his name?
Donkey.
No, I'm trying to think of the actor because
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, no, it's not Eddie Murphy. It's not Eddie Murphy. It is Eddie Murphy.
Donkey
in Shrek.
I'm thinking of the dude that plays the zebra.
Mercury.
No. I'm thinking of the. I was thinking of the guy who plays the zebra in Madagascar.
Did Chris Rock do that?
Chris Rock. Thank you. Yeah, did not play a donkey, but donkey. Oh my god, yeah, that made me laugh really hard.
Nice,
man. So yeah, Galaxy S10, have fun figuring that one out. You guys got to work on Samsung. You got to work on your implementation a little bit. Try to look for maybe heat, because but a phone could probably like difference in heat most likely would probably help there.
Or do some bug bounties too.
Yeah, I mean, hell, that would probably be, that's free. Well,
no, not free. You're gonna pay for the bounty, but
in the scheme of it, though, the developers for Samsung, I think, are in Silicon Valley, and
it's a shit ton less than they'd be paying for everything else.
They're developers, and Silicon Valley, I think that's probably around an 80 just for a like base tier, not like entry level, but like base tier developer. You're looking about 80 grand.
Probably. I mean, cost of living is at least insane. That. So yeah,
there. I'm really glad that I did not move out there.
Agreed. I think there were multiple people who said don't. So.
Well, nothing else, cost of living would increase exponentially.
Yeah, it's stupid expensive.
Well, unless if there was another big boom that I could see coming, but I also see a boom about to happen where I am right now. So
yeah, but there's also a larger amount of, especially security guys, being able to work remotely now.
Yeah.
So if you are in security and you work for a Silicon Valley company, great, but try to stay at home where your cost of living is half the price.
Yeah, and there's like other things you can do with that too. There's a way that you can, if you work from home and you have a dedicated office in your house, you can have that tax deductible based on the area. It has to be a certain area though.
Yeah. And it depends on the dollar amount too.
Yeah, but there's some like weird way that you can do that. One of the guys I knew was doing that, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. I have no idea why, but okay. Like my office is my bedroom, so
my office is in my second part of my living room. It's rough.
I have a second living room. You have a second living room.
Well, I mean, the living room isn't like a full one-piece living room. There's a definite divide in it. So,
you know what I should? So, like, here's something that I should have done.
Purple unicorns. Yes.
No, what? I should have done this instead of getting an apartment when I moved down here. I should have, and I'll probably do this after my lease is up here. I should have looked for a house to buy or to like mortgage out, because some of the houses down here are insanely cheap now.
It depends also, what your long-term plans are. Do you want to stay there a long time? If so, if you're only planning on being there, 4 or 5 years, and then move to greener pastures, probably not the best idea.
Well, here was my idea. Since a lot of these were super, like, they're definite fixer-uppers from what I've seen. Fix them up, flip a couple 10 grand or so, and 10, 20 grand into each of these houses. And granted, these are like listing at under like $100 to like $150,000 houses.
Yeah.
Flip those, immediately just get like another 50 or 25 to 50 grand out of the house, and then you keep moving around, keep doing that, keep flipping them. But that's also like a full-time job.
Have you been watching HGTV recently?
No, I just know this from I know this because my girlfriend in high school, her dad was a contractor, and a lot of his friends did that, and he was able to explain it and teach me how to do it. He did it with cars though, which is a little less of a profitable margin.
It all depends. One of my buddies used to do 70s like Dodge Darts.
Yeah, if you get a niche down, you're definitely
and he was definitely into that niche level. But he used to do it with Dodge Darts and 70s, where they're not the big, like everybody wants them. But he found that there were enough people who wanted them.
Yeah.
That he would find one, and he did this 15, 20 times at least. And he'd buy it for, $3,500 barn find type stuff. $3,500, $4,000.
I think my first car was that much.
Yeah. But he would make them, and he was excellent on the mechanical side, on the body side. I mean, he did all the work. So he wasn't outsourcing, so he didn't have to pay out. So he did all the work, and he did an amazing job at it. And he'd sell these cars for 25, 30 grand. And these are mid-70s Dodge Starts, which aren't highly, I mean, there are collectors, but not highly collectible. But he was able to get into the market where, there's a specific group of individuals who like them and love them.
Yeah, and even with the, I helped my girlfriend when she in high school, and she was working on her 64 Impala. She ended up selling it after we just did the engine work on it. She bought it for I want to say like $3,000 or something. It was a good find. It was like $3,000 or something like that. And we didn't do any body work to it. It had a Bondo on the bottom of the passenger side back corner, quarter. Real straight car, frame was straight, engine still hadn't turned over. 283 V8. Got that thing working. Got it all replugged. New carb, new new carburetor, new distributor.
Definitely new distributor.
I got that thing on right the first time, which if you know Chevy distributors from that era, you can get them on backwards real easily. I got it on the first time the right way, and that thing fired up immediately. I was like, yes.
Nice.
Wheels and new frost plugs because they all rusted out and were leaking. That was fun.
Old school frost plugs, pre injectors and all that fun stuff.
Whole new wiring. Block was solid, other than the rust needed to get cleaned and repainted, but we didn't do that. Still sold it for like $7-8,000, and the guys did the rest that bought it from us. We saw it later. He did all the recoding. He did all the interior and everything. Patched up some of the body work again.
Nice.
Got rid of some of the dents. There's like a dent in the trunk or something like that. The chrome was all good. He just had to refinish it.
Yeah.
It repainted it. It already had a good coat of primer on it. And sold it. I think he tried selling it for $11,000 in the fall, which is not a good idea.
No, that's you want that like spring to early summer.
You want that to be selling that now.
That's like convertibles. You don't want to sell a convertible in the wintertime.
And it was a hard
if you're in the north.
It was a hard top 2-door too. Yeah. So that was like the one you wanted from the 64 line. Yeah. Because if you got the 4-door, you had to deal with the frame twisting and then breaking and cracking. But I mean, you still had to deal with that with the 2-doors. But yeah.
Nice.
If you had a little too much torque in the engine, the frame would like twist and crack.
I mean, muscle cars had that issue. For years.
Yeah, and
especially once you were talking like upgrading like the Mustang V6s to a V8.
Oh yeah,
because it just didn't have the frame that was bulky enough, to handle that torque.
Those are super light. You're talking like Gen 1 Mustangs.
Yeah, like 60s. Yeah, 50. Yeah. When did 64. Mustang come out? 60. Yeah, 4.
If you're real technical about it, 64 and a half.
Oh, real technical.
Yeah,
I'm a Chevy guy, so I'm not real technical about it.
Well, the Chevy guys are the ones that are really technical about it because when you do the there's a show up in Minneapolis every year around July, right before the state fair. It's called Back to the 50s. Yeah. And it's a car show. Cars are anything before 1964 is allowed at the show.
Okay.
There is the technicality there.
Oh, you X'd out the Mustangs.
All of them were like the Chevy, Buick, like GM, like and like old Ford guys.
Yeah, I mean the Ford truck, like
the Ford truck is awesome.
On the Chevy side, like the 58, I think it is 57, 58, 59, somewhere in that range. You know, like the old school Chevy Apache trucks.
Yeah,
you know,
like
you drop those, they are amazing. I love those. And
white walls. Yeah.
I'm so on the white walls. I think white walls are more appropriate on like the Bel Airs and stuff like that.
I don't think so. Actually.
Really?
I think they're more suited on the trucks. To be like, if we're talking that time frame,
I mean, if you're talking like a standard Chevy truck, that's the really, the regular height and everything. Yeah, I'm okay with that. But
okay, are we talking like the box trucks or the rounded trucks?
The more rounded.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Older. Yeah. So they have that workmanship built into them. But if you drop them down, I'm okay with putting some nicer rims on them and nicer tires on them. And one of the things I've come to really like is not, taking the truck back to original. Especially
like doing a custom instead.
No, leaving like not rust patches, but if there has been sunspots and stuff like that on one of the older vehicles and it hasn't affected the actual steel, I'm cool with, if it's bled into the primer, just clear over that.
Oh yeah, like, just clear coat it. Yeah. Okay.
And
I know what you're saying.
Just as long as there's no, actual rust issues, you've got any rust issues out of the way. But
right.
Yeah, if
you just have the discoloration there.
Exactly. If you have the discoloration, stuff like that, I don't necessarily want to take an old school truck back to like a bright cherry red or anything.
Yeah.
Like if it's dulled out and everything, I like that look. I think that's sweet.
Yeah, my boss in the Netherlands, we called the car Minnesota May because he found it in Minnesota. It was a bar find. It's a 53 or 54 Chevy.
And he took it to the Netherlands, or
yes, he did.
Really?
It took him because I was there when he was starting working on it, and that's when I first joined the company. I actually got to see it, and when he was working on it, it was he took it all the way back to original minus the paint and also the suspension. He airbagged it, so it has airbags.
I mean, honestly, airbags, they are so nice to ride on.
Yeah, they're so soft.
Like, so nice.
Yeah, so he had that, and
I'm not gonna switch it out.
Well, you can't do it super. It's not like it's not like your hydraulic, where it's super quick.
The Cadillac airbags and stuff like that. The ZL1 Camaros actually have airbags, and they have a magnetic. Crap, what's it called? They have something magnetic where it's essentially like a reverse polarity going, and so that reverse polarity keeps it from coming down and completely smashing down. But it's really tight around the curves and really nice. But yeah, I like airbags. Cadillac's done it for years. A lot of like the higher end stuff has done it.
Yeah,
it kind of got a bad rep here and there, but
yeah. Well, I mean, for just like general riding, yeah. But if you're doing like heavy stuff, don't do that.
No. Yeah, I wouldn't want like a 3500 Chevy HD like airbagged. That would suck.
Yeah. Yeah, so he actually has that in the Netherlands now, and I actually got to work on it with him while I was over there, and we were redoing the electrical. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
He gave me Chinese food after, so we're good.
Nice.
He even what was really funny was he was like, I don't even work on this car with my son.
Really?
As like, you work better with this than my son does, and I'm like, this is right before I just met his son, or like right after I just met his son.
Yeah.
So that was a little funny.
Very cool.
Okay,
fun. We do have a couple other items.
Yeah, let's not talk about cars.
An item with no actual title to it is just.
Yeah, I threw this on here because I remembered it. I was reading through. What?
I think I saw this.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my gosh.
So I haven't thrown a title on it just because I remembered it last second. And yeah.
Type in something.
Comcast Security Nightmare. Default 0000 or sorry, 0000 pin on everybody's account. Yeah, 000 rule the world.
Yeah.
Reminds me of another talk where it was tab equals 4.
So yeah, what this was, and I threw this on here so anybody listening can check this article out. Comcast Xfinity mobile. I'm not highly acquainted with this article yet. I just remember I saw it on something social media and was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I need to find it. And so this is a security hole large enough to drive a truck. Yeah, we get that. So as a customer of Xfinity mobile phone service, he said someone was able to hijack his phone number, port it to a new account on another network, and commit identity fraud. Core problem, Comcast does not protect its mobile accounts with a unique PIN. So this sounds like... okay, so I'll read this too. To port your phone number, you need two things: Comcast mobile account number and a PIN that should, in theory, verify it's really you, the legitimate account holder.
Yeah.
Looking to port your own number. So Comcast apparently sought to make it easier for customers by appearing to make the process PINless, but it didn't. But it didn't make the PIN go away. Reportedly, it just set a default PIN of 0000 for all customers. So, in regard to
a PIN that customers couldn't change.
Correct. I mean, this is like the what? Gosh, I mean, we've seen it recently. But 15 years ago, you had the service tech had a specific code they could put in that eventually got leaked, and now you can get into whatever you want type of thing. That's what this is. And so with this default PIN of 9999, I mean 0000 that nobody's ever thought of.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. I just read what it says now. So this is Comcast. When you contact your new carrier to transfer your number, they will want your current address and Xfinity mobile account number. That is even worse. That is even worse. Do you know how many times I get called because my university had my old address up on, or granted, this is my old address. So and in a directory, like, your address is everywhere, man. There's public records of you everywhere that are I can Google dork like one of you guys in the audience right now, and I can figure out where you live based on public record.
Yes.
Unless you're in a country where there's weird things with that. But that's even worse. Who thought that was a good idea?
I don't know. And Human Zoo, I appreciate everything you're typing right now.
I have no idea what that says.
I'm translating all of it.
Oh, really? Is that Korean?
Oh,
I'm
Japanese.
Sorry.
The name is Japanese. Let's see.
I wish I could read. Lago, that's awesome.
Log.
Oh, sorry.
We do too. We wish we could also read.
Google me. I'll tell you if I right. It should be easy. Is that your real name?
Google is way too easy.
I won't.
We like to make it more difficult than that. So yes,
it's a thing to say. Not that I can't do. Not that I'm backing out of saying like, oh, I really can't do it. It's one of those I shouldn't do it. It's one of those things, and that okay. You might want to change that now.
Jason, we're just going to look for a guy with the same face who's looks somewhat Jewish and went from short hair to long hair and back.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Thank you for the offer, though, but still.
Ooh.
Without
the challenge, yes.
Without Google Map covered. Ooh.
I like that. And
so you're in.
So that could potentially narrow down the search.
Yeah,
that much more. Just because
you shouldn't have done that.
Maps covers so much, we could just go to where Google Maps does not cover and start to search there.
Anyone ever? If you guys ever played the game,
of Thrones?
No. Shoot, what's it called?
And Ladders.
No. Stop doing that.
That's so fun.
You better say you're sorry.
Why?
Because that was also a game reference that you can't add on to, bitch.
Oh, that's true.
What's it called? There's this game where you get like put down in a spot in like Google Street View, and then you have to guess where it is on a map.
No crap,
on, like,
really?
Where you're walking around. I want to see if I can like hit their API or something like that. If there's a public facing API and see where they won't put you, because then I can figure out where this guy is.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Here, I need to get more vape juice. Yeah, everybody, give me 1 minute.
Yeah.
Actually, do you have actually much more to this?
We do have a little bit. I want to hit on the girl who was expelled.
Yeah. What? So we'll just wait.
And I'll be back.
That. We'll just wait on that for you. But yeah, like Adrian, you know how you've done talks on how to do OSINT stuff. You know how easy it would be to find someone's address.
Sometimes the master of this is ill will, but yeah, I've done it a few times. I have some talks from a while back.
Yeah, and I mean it's not like rocket science. Well, even rockets. Well, it's not super complicated. I mean, you just have to search for someone's name, and there's other services that you can just get this information, or especially if they're if they've been arrested, it's super easy. If they have what else? If they're a public figure, if they went to a university, I figured this out because I've been getting robocalled lately a lot. And robocalled and also getting called by phishing scams. They have been using my old address that I used to live. Yep, Facebook is another good thing. Thanks, Credo. Although it's down right now, so I can't really use it.
Is it down right now? I saw earlier somebody said it was down.
I don't know if it's actually down. I
think it was down. Portions of their viewership.
I know mine went down.
Okay, and
now it's back.
You're west of me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even then.
I mean, because essentially, for the most part, they serve geographically.
They probably have it load balanced out based on location.
So it's probably a DNS related issue.
Let's see. Yeah, it's always DNS. Well, I mean, there's a bunch of DNS hijacking stuff going on right now.
Hey, that would be good if we cover that next week.
Yeah, Instagram. Okay, now it worked. I had to refresh it a few times. It did give me an error, but I needed to reset it, I guess.
An Yes, I love errors. That's an error. You didn't know?
Oh.
Some youngins don't know errors. Okay, let's hit.
Error.
Yes. So on the show notes, I throwed out the Troll Dish ransomware. It's a okay write-up on it.
It's just okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not sure who had some of the other things. So I'll hit the we'll hit the Tufts University. Did you guys hear about this at all?
No, and I feel like I need to get a drink for this. So hold on 1 second. My turn.
I'm holding.
My turn.
Some people think they hacked their grades, but other people don't think they did. Or
yes. So this was, I mean, and it's interesting because they're saying this girl hacked her grades. That she elevated. She was able to compromise, or the librarian. She was able to get the librarian's account and elevate her account in the domain with the librarian's account.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what they're claiming. And if a librarian's account has DA access first,
DA.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to elevate your account via a librarian's account, that's an issue.
Well, universities are notoriously pretty lax on security.
Well,
they are, but a librarian, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to work in a university library. I wouldn't trust them with that kind of access.
Dude, I mean, like the whole of my library, dude, the entire IT of the university I went to, I'm sure, like we got hit with stuff that was just like, so there was this one time where we,
that one time at band camp?
Yes, that one time.
That movie got like 2 years or 3 years after you were born. Just never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, that one time at band camp. No, this one time we actually had the CISO of the university show up in our office, and we all took a giant collective shit together because we were like, "Oh shit."
That sounds disgusting.
Yeah, it was disgusting because one of our developers decided to try and download a movie to her machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't just download the movie. She also downloaded a DNS hijacking malware.
I love
that. Then, since we were on, like, we have our own segmented network, right?
Wait, what? Did she get the movie though? Like,
yeah, she obviously got the movie because she didn't complain about it.
Nice, that's awesome.
Which movie was it?
I don't freaking know. It's probably Game of Thrones or something like that. I don't know. There was a ton of torrenting going on with some of the developers, but
I mean, honestly though, too, universities. I'm out of the torrent scene. Like, I haven't been in it for probably close to 10 years, but I mean, 97, 98 range through 2007 to 8. I mean, good night. All I did was torrents. And whew, the good old days. But even back then, though, I mean, whenever I tried to download a keygen, 99% of all keygens were
they're all
malware.
Yeah.
I miss working at university sometimes.
But that's what I was getting at. Universities, the universities had the best uplinks, for me downloads.
Oh yeah, dude.
And notoriously, the universities just shared the crap out of stuff. I mean, college students, I love their pipes. They were beautiful.
You love the pipe of a good college student?
Mm-hmm. I sure do. Yeah, baby.
All right. All right. Yeah, so that's a definite crit on the level of layer 8. Or layer 9. Is it layer 9 that's human in the network stack?
All right, now layer 8. Layer 7.
Layer
7
layer 8 on is the human. But in regard to this girl, though, it's very interesting because they actually found on her PC, she took it to an independent company, and they found program software on there that were remotely accessible. So somebody could have remotely accessed the system and changed grades and done those things via her IP address. And all that Tufts had on her was her IP address. They didn't even say MAC address. Ooh. All they had is IP. And, I mean, you can go past IP and spoof MAC addresses. IP's the easiest thing in the world to spoof. MAC address is not as easy, but still easy.
I mean, wow, MAC changer.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
and she had her, like, she wore a Fitbit or some type of a fitness tracker. She had the fitness tracker and all the data from it showing that she was not at her laptop at the time that the vast majority of these occurrences happened. And they expelled her on what seems to be nothing. Like, they have nothing that can directly tie her to her system. I mean, it's like,
you know,
completely absurd.
There's,
like, I get doing and from what I can tell, the Tufts only utilized their internal security team, whatever that is. I did not find anywhere that they had a third-party security team.
It will be one dude, which is your acting CISO, and like 4 students.
Well, I mean, Tufts isn't a small university. They probably actually do have a security team, but it may only be like 2 or 3 people.
Right.
And
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And whether they're paid or assistants or students or whatnot, I mean, to expel students based upon that, and not have a third party to validate.
Oh,
because right now they're not validating any of their claims. It's like, she's brought forward enough information that, I'd question it. And I think she's going to be bringing lawsuit against them.
I would.
Because, she's paid all this money towards this degree. She's taken all these classes.
Yep.
And at very minimum,
potentially,
I want my money back because you're not going to give me credit. I'm not going to get my bachelor's from you. Like, I need my money back. You're the ones who are throwing me out on things that I didn't necessarily do.
That's the thing with like. It's just so stupid. That's just rattling my brain to the point of just like you didn't have someone else look at this to like confirm, because if it's your internal network getting compromised, good, you looked at it, but you also should, especially if you had a breach of some sort and you don't know the full extent. I mean, was the full extent just that someone got the DA and started poking around at some shit? But
I mean, and 2, like, do you require specific security applications, programs to be on the students' computers? If so, like, okay, then why didn't they detect this?
Because
when it occurred. If you don't, then there's an issue with there too. I mean, I don't see any good route out for Tufts right now. Like, I feel like they're screwed if she does bring on a complaint against them. I feel like they are going to be screwed.
Yeah, I would. If
are they going to transfer credits?
Me? Where is Tufts University located? And what kind of school is it?
United States.
Well, that's helpful.
People go there. See? That's how prepared
No, it's not. Oh,
really?
It is, but she's Canadian.
Yes, she is Canadian, and upon her being expelled, she had to, I think, in like 1 day, go back to Canada.
Yeah, she lost her visa then. Yep.
Yeah,
because she's no longer a student.
Yeah.
Which means you can't be in the country. Which, if you have 1 day, that's a little insane.
Yeah.
Like,
Canada, well, actually, I guess this is the U.S. expelling her. Canada itself is a bit of a bitch when it comes to coming into the country.
Mm-hmm. I do
You
agree.
can't doing any kind of work.
You can't what?
Cannot imply that you're doing any kind of work.
Even as like a 1099 type of thing. So
exactly that, but I've heard other pen testers say they had a problem getting in sometimes, and I had a problem in just volunteering to do video. Because say, well, why can't you hire someone local? Canada is a socialist shithole. Fuck Canada.
Blame Canada. Blame Canada.
I like it.
But yeah, women up there, considering all they eat is protein and moose.
Aren't moose like
moose are freaking massive?
Aren't
like one
moose up there is like aren't moose up there like the equivalent of Indian with cows?
I'm not quite sure.
Wait, you mean like a Mountie with a moose is the equivalent to an Indian with a cow?
After I got kicked out of the country,
no, religious symbols, bro.
I just like to pick on the Canadians.
Jeez.
Wait, so a Mountie with a moose is not a religious symbol?
That's well, I mean, it can be. We could make a religion out of it.
And
Canadianism.
Yes, and hockey. Yes, the hockey stick has to be in there for a religious symbol.
I'm going to sleep here before long, so let's finish up the rest of the show.
Okay, Cappy, did you add these next two on here, or do you know?
I did not, but I'll just run through them, and at least by title real quick. Many SSL certs revoked due to using too few bits. So
hate when those bits get lost.
So when you're not using when you're using a lower encryption algorithm to use your SSL or to implement your SSL, which I think is what they're doing here. I'll just open that up. You're gonna throw a bunch of vulnerabilities. So 64 bits of a cert ID on the wall. That's a stupid subtitle.
Yes.
During a discussion on Mozilla Dev security policy group about dark matter's application to become a fully fledged cert issuing CA, so netizens discovered that that the company's supposedly 64-bit serial numbers in its certificates were in fact 1 bit short.
Oh crap, we forgot the 0.
Yeah, so you need to have higher I think what I've usually recommended is 128.
Yeah, 128 or 256.
Yeah, 120. I mean,
I started doing. Yeah, I started doing
1 and 1.2.
No, don't do 1.1. I started doing 256. Shit, probably at least 5 years ago. You know, try if you are doing certificates, whatever the standard currently is, try to go one past it.
Yeah.
And that will keep you good for normally about 6 to 8 years.
Yeah.
And you won't have to care about your cert. You just either auto renew or renew it yearly, whatever, but go to the higher encryption, go to where the hackers are not living. It does not cost any more money. Everything today supports it. If you're doing lower stuff, that's probably for legacy systems. Upgrade your legacy systems.
Yeah, which is going to have a high upfront cost, but so is getting breached because you have those, and that's going to be an even higher cost. So
yeah,
you're eliminating risk with adding a bit of cost instead of keeping a huge amount of risk while saving on a bit of cost.
Yes. Credo, most issuers do allow 256. I mean, I've been doing 256, like I said, for like 5 years.
Yeah.
At least. And if your platform allows it, go as high as you can. And that takes a lot of the sweat and concern out of it.
All right. So we got one more in the show notes for other reading. I'll just run through it quick here. Point of sale malware campaign targets hospitality and entertainment businesses. Credit card data stealing attacks. Okay. Yeah, that's just a general thing. A newly discovered cybercrime campaign is targeting restaurants, cinemas, and other retailers in the entertainment and hospitality industries with point-of-sale malware in an ongoing effort to steal credit card data information from its customers. Known as DM Sniff or DMS, the malware is thought to have been active since 2016, which was right around the time where there was a lot of the ransomware going on, so this could easily have been missed. Having managed to fly under the radar until now, and having been uncovered and detailed by researchers at cybersecurity intelligence company Flashpoint, the key target of DMS or DM Sniff are small and medium-sized companies which rely heavily on card transactions such as food, hospitality, and entertainment industries. And it goes on farther into that. But this is also something that I've seen recently too with I talked about this a while ago. I don't think I was on the show, but I know I talked about it to the guys internally.
The guys.
Yeah, the guys, the rest of you guys on the podcast. When Caribou, no, it was like when Caribou and Dunn Brothers got popped.
Yeah, last September.
Yeah, it was like last August to December they were popped.
Yeah.
Or they were in compromise. And then Dunn Brothers got compromised. And all of these are like within the Midwest. And
yeah.
But my information's probably in there.
We hope.
Yeah.
Oh, give me a second. Yep, it's there.
He just like had it up waiting for me to say it. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But all of those were going through the PLS system or point of sale systems as well. And there was a guy a while back who was looking for RDP open on the internet from different restaurants. Yeah. And then he would put, and it was for the point of sale system itself. So he would put his own malware on there, and I'm forgetting his name. He was like the big carding giant a couple years back, and there's DEF CON talks about him. Darknet Diaries did an episode on him, really well done. But it is yeah, it's a very common attack vector, and I'm not surprised that it's happening again. Yeah. And also that it flew under the radar for so long. Because how many times do you think about patching or like looking at your point of sales traffic, especially when it's supposed to be in a PCI environment or like a sectioned off environment? Like, yeah,
but two, it should not be touching the internet
at all. Yeah, no, it shouldn't be touching it at all. Like when you that it should be,
because if it's PCI'd off, it's fully firewalled off, and you know it should be an actual like point to point type of. I mean, yeah,
it should be.
Yes,
we're only human.
If you are PCI compliant,
we're only human. So, and here's the other thing too. Like you think of the things like Square and the rest, and like those other like smaller payment apps or like applications and devices. I'm just waiting for one of those guys to get popped, because that's going to be big.
Yeah.
Because not only are they PCI compliant, they are also internet connected, and they're going to be like,
they're internet connected and small business friendly. I mean, just a shit ton of small businesses utilize Square and things like that. So, yeah.
I mean, you're going to have the entire East Coast and West Coast just basically shitting themselves, like in terms of like small term business owners, because a lot of like the East Coast stuff is a lot of small business.
Yeah.
It's not like a lot of chains. But even
where I have utilized Square often, food trucks. You know,
I went to
just smaller festivals, things like that. You know,
I went to a theater last week, this past weekend to go watch a play, and for me to pay for it, and this is at a university.
Yeah,
they had Square, like it was just Square running on an iPad.
Yeah.
It's at a university.
Yep. You'll see that often.
It's like, what? Why? No, you guys, no.
Yep.
Sadly, I didn't have cash on me, so.
Okay, and last thing that I do want to mention and promote, Charles, he was on earlier. He's BSD Bandit, and his blog, bsdbandit.blogspot.com. Charles published a thing this week installing SQL Server 2017 on Ubuntu Linux. Woo-hoo! So if anybody has, I mean, honestly, from me, like, I don't know why you would want to go down the SQL route, the MS SQL route, but if you want to go down the MS SQL route on Linux, Charles has a write-up.
Microsoft SQL, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so
yep.
The implementation for that is if you have a team that, so say that you are the sysadmin at a tech firm and they process like a e-commerce platform, or they develop an e-commerce platform that's built upon C#.
Yeah.
But you have to do hosting through a provider that only has Linux provider, or has Linux providers and Windows providers, and you guys decide to go with Linux. That is where you are going to be putting this stuff, especially if you're going to be utilizing stuff like Elasticsearch and stuff like that. But basic stuff here, there is a reason that you should know how to do this, especially if you're on the sysadmin side.
Are you saying though you wouldn't be able to do this in a Postgre database?
I mean, it depends. But Microsoft, there's so think of it like this. If you use it within the same suite, so like within the Microsoft like development like suite, kind of. So you use Microsoft SQL Server, you use C#, you use .NET
on Ubuntu, yes.
Right. The server running Ubuntu or running the database, will take up less resources and will be less intensive running on Linux if it's only running on that. And then you just have an API on it that gets called from there. Yeah.
Yep, I could see that. Okay.
So using something like Elasticsearch there, which is probably something that you're going to see more and more of as we move.
I mean, Elasticsearch types of functionality are where we are going and where we will be. Honestly, I didn't know, and I mean, you can probably inform me some. Elasticsearch, like, how does that do with a standard MS SQL environment? Like, I don't know of anybody doing it in a Microsoft environment.
I'm not super sure how it works. My father would actually have more of an insight on this because that's how he's developing their app at his company and the team that he's leading. But it's for rapid searching and rapid data processing.
Yes. But he's
there,
doing it within SQL though, like Microsoft.
I'm not sure if it's all being controlled from. So from what I can gather, you have the C# application, C#.NET application that is then querying the Elasticsearch, which is then querying some sort of database that is run by the database admins there, which I'm assuming is Microsoft's SQL Server, because the company that he works for is a very
strong Microsoft shop.
Yeah, from the last time that I was there, about I want to about 10 years ago, when I was in that office, it was
Cappy,
all Windows.
You need to go see your dad and give your dad a hug. It's been 7 years. Come on.
No. Last time that I was at that office, asshole.
And Credo, yes, I agree. It does sound like a pain. I'm probably gonna go through it at some point this week if I get some time and throw it up and just see. I read through it earlier this week. He did have a couple difficulties, but he also explained how to get past some of those difficulties. So he pretty much gave step by step how to do it. But it's bsdbandit.blogspot.com.
You could also run a Docker container of it.
Yeah, you could.
You could Dockerize it that way, but then you got to worry about Docker.
It.
You still have to or containerize it, which is a better way to do it, because then you could be doing like run C and all other stuff there.
Hey, shoot that over to him. That may be next week's project.
Yeah, it'll be like how to set up a full web stack full stack application in Docker.
Exactly.
And doing it. Here's the thing: doing it securely is a pain, because you can just leave those ports open, but there's some other things that you got to worry about. I would honestly say run an API on the one container, and then just have your other container that's actually running the application piece of it make API calls to the other container to say, or other web server that's running your API to say, hey, give me this shit.
Yeah.
But that's just me. But there's another guy that I've talked to that is insane with some of the stuff he knows about Docker, and also how he's planning on securing it. That is a way advanced for what your usual developer will talk about when they talk about Docker.
Yeah, and I do want to throw it out there. Docker, containerizing types of software and technology. Make sure you start to familiarize yourself with it.
Yeah,
it will be it's the 2010, 2005, whatever internet revolution. We are going to see so many things in a very short term move to a containerized environment.
Yeah.
From a security perspective, if you are a sysadmin, make sure you know it, understand it, because that is kind of the next movement and progression.
So I've been researching how to actually secure it, and also how to attack Docker itself, in terms of like a pen tester and a systems engineer role.
Which is good. They need to keep improving. They have flaws.
High level, here are some things that you shouldn't do, and what you should be aware of. Don't use the TCP, don't use Docker socket. Look at the 2018 CVE on that. Don't use
even currently.
I still wouldn't, because
has it not been appropriately patched?
So here's the thing, and this could just be something that wasn't well written by Red Hat or Docker themselves. They aren't patching it on a couple of versions.
Really?
Yeah. There are new versions that will be patched, but there's other ones that won't be.
Oh, okay.
And there's different distributions. Docker and runc on the version side of things is a little insane. They have a different version for each kind of flavor of containerization. So if you're running it within a desktop, or you're running it within the actual kernel itself, it's weird. Even Windows has its own version number. It's they didn't just port the version over. It's they had to build it from scratch, basically, using the hypervisor.
See, that's why you work in C.
Yeah,
it's a cross-platform.
Right in C.
Exactly. Any devs out there? Hey, guess what? C. Cross-platform.
Well, C# is ishy, but
not fully cross-platform though.
Not full. I said ishy. But yeah, where was I going with that? So yeah, don't run the TCP socket.
Unicorn.
Don't shut up. Don't run the TCP socket or the Docker socket, because there's some weird things where they might fix it and they won't fix it on certain versions. There's a weird thing there. Also, manage the capabilities of each that a user will have when they're interfacing with a container. If you don't manage your capabilities, especially if I see like tech, if I get into a container and I pop like a Angular application and I get onto the system itself via LFI to whatever to SSH into the box because I grabbed the key. If I get onto that box and I am root, I should not be able to mount any device that is also on that kernel other than what is specified there. If you do tac privilege, so say you need to, when you boot up the container, mount a hard drive to it to grab that data off of it for some reason. Maybe there's a database on it that you have to initialize and start running from the Docker container. I don't know. I haven't figured out why you would want to do that. But there's different things to say, like there's different capabilities that you can add. So you can add that capability, but you can make it a read-only thing. Now, granted, read-only, probably a bad thing still, because you're still mounting the hard drive. But there's different ways around it. Docker gives you a ton of, so those are just like two things that I would worry about. And then there's a couple other things that you need to worry about with it, especially when you get to the point of like, if a version of Docker comes out and you have to take down everything real quick, it's a big pain in the butt. And that's a lot of processing time that you're having to take care of. And also you might hit kernel panic while doing it.
Yeah. Because
it's a lot of strain on the kernel itself.
Now, Docker side, can you...
Container side, too, yeah.
Well, yeah. Two different... Container side, Docker side, can you easily cluster those at
Kubernetes.
This point? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so Kubernetes, you can do it that way.
Yeah.
When I was talking because we're to expand out our product at work, to account for more data being passed through it, because right now it's all in one normalized database structure.
Yeah.
One instance of this for all of our clients.
A company I worked for in the past.
In the past.
Yes.
To move from it, he explained that he had an idea that he's looking into on how to cluster it with Kubernetes, and then also use another tool that I forget the name of that basically just creates everything as a node. So think of like these nodes kind of like RAID disks.
Yeah.
So each of these RAID disks is like a RAID 2, or not RAID 2, like a RAID 1, where it's like a copy of each other.
Yeah.
So you can take one down and update that, put it up, and then take the other one down and put both of them up. You both have your load balancing and you're not having any downtime and any uptime on that. But yeah, definitely look into more of that stuff too as we go on, because the next big thing in my mind that we're going to have to deal with is, since a lot of companies are moving to cloud-based solutions for their to run their applications, especially the external ones.
Yeah.
That's going to be where a lot of your stuff is going to be put. So they might have one server that's running a ton of different Docker instances within a Docker instance to take down that, which might be one of those containers is connected back. They might have a whole domain. I don't know what it's going to look like, but
yeah, it's especially on the licensing perspective, it's going to be interesting from the VMware, stuff like that, as to how they deal with this in the future.
Right.
Because VMware likes to get their money. And all of a sudden you have one large scale VMware server or whatever running Docker, and you have all these containers and Microsoft, you have an Active Directory environment potentially within Docker that it's not running on necessarily a Windows server.
Yeah, Windows containers are interesting.
We see there's definitely going to be an interesting ball game played out here in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I honestly think we're going to move in terms of we're going to see a lot less of externally facing Windows application and Windows like based applications. We're going to see a ton more of Linux servers running the web server that then puts out the application, or just stuff that is actually managing it and is containerized to a point that you're just like, it's a whole nother network on top of a server that's running and being owned by Amazon.
Exactly. Like from a Windows perspective, what do I need for an executable outside of the DLLs?
Yeah.
Nothing. You know, I can run that in any environment that I want as long as I have the DLLs that the executable is looking at.
Right. So, but I mean, if you can containerize that, Windows, there's some containerization that you can do it, but basically what it is still doing is it's just running Linux within that container.
Yeah.
It's using Alpine, which is stripped down Linux. Also use Alpine when you're making containers, because that's a super stripped down Linux distribution. There's not a lot there to attack. I don't even think it has. No, it does have the shadow file, but still.
And just to throw it out there, there are Docker
very small
alternatives. You know, you don't necessarily have to go with Docker for containerization. Docker is very structured in what they allow you to do. So if you want to get a little more creative, you know, there's other things out there.
So Microsoft bought Red Hat recently, right?
Yes.
Red Hat's the only
amazingly.
Yeah, Red Hat is the only competitor to Docker with their Run C for containerization.
Yeah.
So Misa thinks there's something there, but we probably should end the show notes before I go another hour on how containers work and why they're insecure.
As well as, and we will be ending soon, as well as the Linux subsystem that can now be ran through Microsoft and everything else associated to it.
All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and check that. Continue to speak, and I'm going to go to sleep probably.
Sounds like a plan.
Y'all keep your pants strong. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Always.
Have a good rest of the week, everybody.
Yep. Have a good week.